I'm Fiona McKinnon with the BBC Radio London travel. There are delays for the M25 clockwise at junction 27, the M11 turn. After recent breakdown, all lanes have reopened. And clockwise on the M25, just before you get to junction 6 at Godstone, one lane is closed there because of a breakdown. Anti-clockwise at the Clackett Lane services, there's no fuel available at the lorry pumps. And we've still got delays anti-clockwise from 11 to 10 at Wisley, approaching those roadworks. Slow for the M1 heading north from junction 10, the Luton Airport Spur Road, up to 11 at Dunstable. And to the east, Beckton still rather slow for the A406 southbound approaching the Beckton roundabout after a breakdown which happened earlier on. Do update us if it's safe on 0800 731 2000. Now with the tube, severe delays are affecting the Piccadilly and Central lines. Southeastern are reduced between Lewisham and Dartford following a track fault. And a reminder, we do have a train strike coming up. Train drivers who are members of the ASLEF union will take industrial action from Monday the 29th of January until Tuesday the 6th of February in a long-running dispute over pay. It'll be a series of one-day strikes between Tuesday the 30th and Monday the 5th of February, affecting different operators each day, with an overtime ban coming in on Monday the 29th of January up until the 6th of February. Fiona McKinnon, next update in half an hour.
BBC Radio London,
the home of London sport.
Yeah, good evening, everybody, from Craven Cottage, where Fulham are potentially one win away from Wembley.
The sound of London.
the London Sports Show. BBC Radio London.
But, and I say but, they have a little bit of work to do. 2-1 down from the first leg. Marco Silva's side need a special night under the lights here on the banks of the River Thames if they are to make it to the National Stadium. We've got full match commentary from 8 o'clock tonight. Liverpool, the visitors in town. Team news an hour away before that, and we'll be reacting to the news that broke last night, somewhat late, that Charlton Athletic have parted company with yet another manager. Plus, a review of a dismal evening for Wimbledon, but a positive point for Sutton United. But our main confection comes from the cottage tonight. We are under the lights of Fulham against Liverpool. 8 o'clock kickoff. We've got all the build-up, the best build-up you can have, in fact, ahead of what is a mammoth tie, and this stadium is ready. This is the home of London football, BBC Radio London.
BBC Radio London,
The home of London sport.
Yeah, good evening, all from Craven Cottage. We are in SW6 tonight, and it is nice and clear. Let me just set the scene for you. We are dead on the halfway line, first row of the press box in the Johnny Haynes stand. Yes, we've still got pillars to our left and to our right, which do obstruct the view now and then. But Steve Brown's just discovered the Stone Roses.
Right. is that what's playing
Good
now?
evening, Steve Brown.
Evening, Aaron. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks.
Good, good.
Emma Jones is your match commentator tonight. Emma, you're tasked not just with describing the events on pitch, but also giving Steve a musical education.
I know. That's going to take longer than the 90 minutes.
I've really let everybody down there.
You have?
Yeah.
Tell us about your favourite tunes, because you're very blasé when it comes to music.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But I don't. I don't know any Stone Roses
Then again,
songs.
you walked out to the Red Robin for years, so it doesn't really bother you.
Yeah.
You're immune to it.
And quite liked it. So
Really?
that tells you a lot, I think.
Yeah, tells you a lot about Charlton. Let me just set the scene for you, though. We are dead on the halfway line. Craven Cottage looks absolutely glorious. The floodlights beaming down on what is an immaculate playing surface. Sprinklers on to our left, just gently watering the surface. But there are flags adorning seats here in the Johnny Haynes stand to our right, in that cavernous Hammersmith end, over on the far side in the Riverside stand, and just in half of the Putney end. I'd imagine there will be a few Liverpool fans and a few rogue faces in that Putney end tonight as some sort of aircraft flies low over above us here on the banks of the River Thames tonight. Let me just say hello to Emma Jones, our match commentator again this evening. Emma, you've seen some great nights at this beautiful stadium. Are we hoping tonight is another one of those?
We are, aren't we? It would have been nice if they could have held on to that 1-0 win at Anfield, but for the 2 goals that Liverpool got back in that game, as you say, possibly 90 minutes away from a cup final. A domestic cup final is something that Fulham haven't been in since 1975. Unfortunately, Liverpool know how to win games, and they rather like winning the League Cup as well. So that's the challenge in front of Marco Silva's side.
Steve, tell me about this game, because again with Liverpool there are multiple sort of faces to them. They can wow, they can disappoint, they can not bother turning up sometimes as well. I just wonder about them tonight. If this stadium can generate an atmosphere, can they be rocked?
Well, I mean, they're top of the league, Aaron, and they're in pretty good form in terms of wins on the board. So I think if you go back to the first leg, what they have the ability to do is bring players off the bench to get them over the line. So I think, you know, statistically they were the better side on the night in terms of when you look down. I obviously didn't see the game, I was working, but statistically, when you look at them, Liverpool dominated by the numbers. But what they did have on the night was players that could come off the bench and change the game. Gakpo comes on, gets a goal. Nunes comes on and assists twice. So I think, you know, whether they start with a slightly younger team, it leaves them a little bit stronger on the bench, or they go strong from the start, you know, is up to them. And that's the ability they have, you know, as a club. They normally, and they're suffering from injuries as well, Aaron, you have to remember that. But they do have a little bit of strength in depth.
Music-wise, you know who this is?
A day without a night. Couldn't tell you who it is, though.
Massive Attack.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm so disappointed in myself. I'm such a bad quiz player.
You are?
Such a bad
Speaking
quiz player.
of which,
I mean, the one quiz question I got that I thought I had everybody was, you answered it in about 0.4
Where's my
seconds.
check?
No, we've squared up, I've told you.
Haven't.
We've squared up.
We really haven't. Bedford Jezzard was the answer. What's the question?
It's so good that you got that.
A1 start your message with the word London. If Bedford Jezzard is the answer, what is the question? We're going to hear from Marco Silva in a minute. Let's head out, though, to outside the cottage. Nick Godwin is out and about on the radio mic tonight, just supping up the atmosphere. Hopefully, maybe sampling some of the local cuisine, maybe a drink or two, Nick.
Well, yeah, not just at the minute. There's quite a lot of people between me and the cuisine, Aaron, but you know, the night is young. I'm on the Fulham Palace Road, and there's a tremendous sense of expectation because the players' coaches will be arriving in the next 20 minutes or so. As you may know, if you know this part of London, the massive police presence outside here. You've got the away fans starting to make their way into that Putney end as well, and all the people that just want to cap that moment as the two sets of players arrive. You've also got the Londoners, the residents of this part of the world, out on their evening run as well as they weave their way through the fans too. But you know, as we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks on BBC Radio London, Fulham don't get to too many semi-finals. They are rarely, if ever, potentially 90 minutes from Wembley. So this is a really, really special occasion. There's a lot of people who are just revelling in the experience of being this close to a major final. As I said, it doesn't happen very often. And there are a lot of memories being brought back from the great European run of 2010 as well. You know, that's possibly the last time there was such a focus on this football club with those incredible games against the likes of Juventus and Hamburg. So yeah, I'm kind of hovering around the Fulham Palace Road, waiting for those players' coaches to arrive, just sampling the atmosphere. I'll be chatting to some of the fans a bit later as well. We've got a helicopter whirring overhead, and the whole place is just kind of seething with excitement, really. It's a very, very special night in this part of town.
Nick, we'll be back with you in a moment. That's Nick Godwin. He's out and about for us this evening here, just sampling the atmosphere ahead of what is a huge game for Fulham Football Club. Liverpool, the visitors, 8 o'clock kickoff. Let's hear from Marco Silva. He has never made it to a major final at Wembley. Although he's taken teams to finals in Portugal and Greece, he says tonight represents a huge opportunity for everyone involved at the football club.
It's another motivation for us. We know that we made history playing the semi-final because it's the first time for this football club in this competition too. But you know that you have something to play more. You know that you have something to reach that is going to be incredible for this football club and incredible for our fans, and we are going to really do our maximum to achieve it.
He's also hoping the Craven Cottage crowd can have a big impact on proceedings this evening.
They are going to be crucial. They are going to play a big part on it. Not just we need them really behind us. Some moments that we are going to be trying and to be playing well, other moments that probably Liverpool will make us to suffer. We need them always behind the team. You need them to try to make the Craven Cottage really difficult for Liverpool too. It's going to be a tough one. You know that this type of games, the crowd can make a big impact. We had this good example at Anfield the last 2 games we played there. How we were playing so good, and in tough moments for Liverpool, they were always there and they pushed the team forward. And this is what we need from our fans tomorrow. And I'm sure that they are going to play the game with us and they are going to play a big part on it.
Emma, you are a Fulham fan. We know.
Outed.
Do the Fulham fans sometimes get a bit of an unfair rap? I remember Millwall fans once labelled them the Waitrose Warriors.
Is that because of the Victoria sponges and all the nice kind of charcuterie they take to away games?
I got told once, I mean, this is when I first started working for BBC Radio London, and we travel around and we go and follow teams as we do up and down the country, and I got sent on a away day with Fulham once, and I was paired up with their media manager, and I was told, right, you can lurk around with him. And I remember going onto a train with him. He said, no, we've got to sit away because the fans can get quite rowdy. And we walked through this carriage, and there's antipasti on the table.
Absolutely.
And there's bottles of Prosecco, and they're so lovely. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, oh no, they get rowdy. And it was the most peaceful post-football train journey I've ever. I felt like I was on a pleasure cruise, Steve Brown. But do they get an unfair rap sometimes because the atmosphere isn't quite like a Portsmouth or an Everton? It doesn't. I mean, it's got the charm, this place. They can make noise though.
I'll tell you what, they can. And we've been here for those games when they have. And I mean, Marco Silva has actually made that point that he thinks that the fans could make a difference this evening, and has actually kind of pointed out what Liverpool fans do at Anfield and has asked for that kind of atmosphere this evening.
They have an unfair advantage. They sing to a CD, don't they? They sing along to a CD. So,
and there are about 40,000 more of them. So, yeah. I mean, yes, there has been a bit of a mocking about the clappers that get handed out to the Fulham fans, and I think they are on some of the seats this evening, along with the flags as well. But I would suggest that Fulham fans can generate their own atmosphere, and I think they do.
How important is it tonight for that backing? Because this is going to be a difficult task for Fulham, Brownie. Like, make no bones about it. You've waxed lyrical about Liverpool and the qualities they possess, but we know that Fulham, at points this season, have struggled. At points this season, they've really exceeded expectations. But we're in this weird lull right now where this club desperately needs a bit of love from the owner. It needs a bit of maybe some additions. I think that's what I'm looking for. Transfer additions. It's desperate for something like that. And this squad, I don't know why, it always feels a bit threadbare. And they need these guys as the archetypal 12th man.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair what you've just said in terms of needing a few more players through the door to put a bit of strength in depth. I was looking at the squad age today. It's up the upper end. You know, they've got good aged players.
That's because Tim Ream's 87.
You've got a couple above the age of 30, which is great. You need that experience in the side, but they don't have anybody under the age of 25 at all in their squad. And if you look at Liverpool's and the starting 11 in that first leg, they had 5 under 22. You know, so you've got that going on in the dynamic of their squad, and it's not disaster because working with 26, 27, 20-year-olds, that should be when they're in their prime. So they learn, you know, in terms of their trade, they should have learned everything they need to learn, so they're easier to coach. But I do agree with Aaron. I think they do need a little bit of help in terms of recruitment, a little bit more strength in depth. We've always spoken about the struggle they have with strikers since Mitrovic has gone, you know, to the point where you think, right, let's leave that one alone a little bit. But they certainly have never. They're going to find it very difficult to replace him. Could take many players before they find another Mitrovic, to be honest with you. But I quite like it here. I've got to be honest here. I quite like the atmosphere here. It's not aggressive, even when they're not playing particularly well. Could they get a little bit more rowdy when a team's on top? Yes, they could. But they beat Arsenal here the other week. I was at it, and they were terrific, Emma, weren't they?
There is one person who sits right at the back of this stand, Emma. I think you've probably heard him, who shouts, just no.
Male or female?
I don't actually know.
Oh, okay. I think that, yes.
I'll point it out. Yeah. I'll point it out during the game. But you can hear him.
Passionate.
It's like, come on, Fulham! Like the whole way through, and you're like, yeah, but they're 3-0 up. you know.
There aren't many cafes you walk past on the way to football grounds that do a chai latte fully vegan.
Do you know what, Steve? I think you'll find there are a lot more of those than you think.
It's just this part of the world.
Stunning. You won't find that in Charlton down the valley.
Yes, you would.
No, you wouldn't.
Oh, yeah.
There's no chai latte
there's there's smashed avocado on sourdough.
In the Valley Cafe. I just had a sausage and fried onion sandwich any other day. There's no avocado on the menu. No, there's no chai tea.
You telling me the club don't give you lunch no more?
Well, we got some cardboard sandwiches last night, which we had to leave. Yeah.
He's got to be careful what he's saying now. Yeah. Right, Charlton have begun the search for their 14th permanent manager / head coach following last night's dismissal of Michael Appleton. The former Lincoln and Portsmouth boss had just 28 games in charge of the Addicts, winning just over a quarter of them last night, the latest in a long list of miserable outings. Call time on Mickey Apples.
Pinnock's got a chance here to try and win it for Northampton. Into the box they go, shooting opportunity. It's 3-2 to Northampton Town. Apere puts the ball into the bottom corner, and is that going to be the end of the Michael Appleton reign here at the Valley? It's another late goal, it's another defeat. It's 6 defeats in 7 for Charlton. Michael Appleton is getting pelters from the stands. It's Charlton Athletic 2. They will have one last chance because they've got a free kick here in the centre circle. They've got to send everyone forward for this.
Well, again, just good quality. Put the ball in there under the keeper's nose.
Dobson's going to send this forward. Maynard Brewer did stay back. It's a terrible free kick from George Dobson. There goes the final whistle. The final action of this evening was that. The final action of Michael Appleton's reign in charge here at the Valley. Charlton lose again. It's a 10th game without a win. It's a 6th game they've lost in their last 7 in League One. It's another game where Charlton find themselves getting dragged closer and closer towards a relegation battle in League. The crowd are furious. They're chanting against Michael Appleton. Is this the last time we see him in the Addicts dugout? Finishes here at the Valley on BBC Radio London Sport. Charlton Athletic 2, Northampton Town 3.
The writing had been on the wall after the weekend loss at home to Burton, and when Nick Godwin spoke to Appleton on Monday ahead of the Northampton game, it was clear he was under a bit of pressure.
The reality is, the longer the situation goes on without, winning a game of football, that does come with a job. That, it's like I say, it's not my first rodeo. I've been here before. I've been in difficult positions before. I understand the job and the role, and the fact that if you're not winning games on a regular basis, then your job's up for threat. So I'm just trying to sort of focus on tomorrow, really, make sure that the players are in a good frame of mind. It's obviously going to be a difficult game.
And if these results don't turn, at what point, how far does it have to go, as it were, for you to kind of be able to say, well, look, this isn't something I'm going to be able to sort out?
Well, I've never been in that position before where I've walked away from something and quitted something in my life. I've had a few challenges in my life. I've had cancer, I've had injury, but cost me my career at the age of 22. I've had a lot of challenges, never stepped away, never take a step back from anything. And I won't on this occasion. The harder it gets sometimes, the more sweeter it sort of tastes on the other side. And that's always sort of been the challenge of any manager, I suppose, that when you're going through a tough period, you've got to try and find a way of sort of changing that.
There you go, Michael Appleton speaking to Nick Godwin. Let's speak to our Charlton reporter Louis Mendes, who was on commentary duty at the Valley last night. And Joe Puddyfoot from Charlton Live are gearing up for a special episode this evening. Steve Brown is, of course, alongside me as well. Hello, chap.
Hey, Aaron, all right?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Louis, it is, it's Groundhog Day once again.
Yeah, we've been here before, haven't we? So it's not exactly something we're not used to dealing with, but it felt like it's been coming for a while. I think last night Michael Appleton's probably been put out of his misery a little while. Some was surprised he made it this far after the whole circus that went across over the weekend, where there were some pretty strong rumours that he'd been fired. But I think we could hear from the interview before the game that he knew he had to get a result, and the fact that he was given the elbow within half an hour of the full-time whistle shows that this has been in the offing for a little while. And there has to be some sort of change at the Valley. It's clear that Charlton has sort of almost been sleepwalking into a relegation battle at the bottom end of the third tier of English football, which is just unthinkable, really.
Joe, give me your thoughts, please, pal.
Well, I'm relieved it's over. I think is the overwhelming feeling. It's been monotonous for so long now, where we started off by snatching draws from the jaws of victory, and we've transitioned into snatching defeats from the jaws of draws, and that's just not a sustainable pattern, and it's the same mistakes every week. You could understand if you were being undone by unlucky goals and you could see it coming, but we're second best every single game at the minute, and passages of play last night you're looking at were just players that left unmarked. You know, that they've got all the space that they could possibly need in South East London to make their opportunities and score their goals, and you're only going in one direction with that pattern of football, and that's why I think we've had to see the action that we've seen yesterday.
Steve Brown, of course, is alongside us. Charlton legend, ran out many a times with Red Robin.
Many times. Yeah.
Works on the Charlton Athletic TV channel as well, in-house. I'm sure you've got plenty you want to say. I don't know how much you can say, but say something.
Yeah, the writing was on the wall. I'm surprised it didn't happen Saturday night, actually, if I'm honest. I know Michael lives up that end of the country. I don't think he travelled back with a team Saturday night. They weren't in Sunday with a really important game on the Tuesday, which, you know, sometimes you would have thought that when you're up against it, you're fighting for your job. The team's fighting a battle that's, you know, we're sliding down the league, that the team might have been in Sunday just to maybe have a look at Northampton, so that then on the Monday you can concentrate on yourselves, because you need to be right at it on the Tuesday. And none of that materialised, and the result went against us. But statistically, Aaron, I can chuck 10 at you that are the worst in Charlton's history, where we find ourselves after 28 league games in League One. At this stage, I think it's the lowest we've ever been in League One at this stage of any part of our history. We've got the second worst defensive record, the only one worse at the bottom of the league. You know, it's no wins in 12 or 13. I've lost count, actually. So no surprise if we're brutally honest. But, you know, as we were discussing last night, you know, we've got to try and turn around this managerial. You know, we just keep changing every 20, 30 games, and it's just not good enough. Recruitment hasn't been good enough over the last 2 or 3 years, which hasn't helped any of the managers. But
whose fault was that?
Well, recruitment, if you go back under Thomas Sangard, would have been directly his son, and Steve Gallen would have been in that. Now Andy Scott's in charge. We are seeing, I believe, an improvement in recruitment, but not an improvement in results. And when that happens, then the manager goes again. But it was the right time to pull the trigger. Some people have said he might, you know, when you bring in 6 players in the January transfer window, you shouldn't really change the manager. Sadly, it was unavoidable. It had to be changed. The team just wasn't responding well enough. The defence wasn't improving. You have to see improvements when you're on poor runs. We weren't seeing any.
Louis, tell me about Michael Appleton and the feeling when he was appointed Charlton boss, because I just don't feel there was that much excitement surrounding him. You know, as there maybe has been with previous head coaches, it kind of felt like rinse and repeat. Where are we with the Appleton tenure? It's been very, very short, yes, but how do we sum this up?
Yeah, I mean, it was an underwhelming appointment, I think, for the majority of Charlton fans, judging by sort of the reaction when he came in. And it's easy to forget. He started okay. I think he started without losing his first 7 or 8 games in all competitions, but. You know, as Dean Holden found out as well at the start of the season, when you start losing your strikers from this squad, some of the big name players like Miles Leaburn and Chukwuemeka, then there's very little else in there, you know. And Brownie's mentioned the defensive issues that just seem to have been going on for a couple of years now, and no matter how much they chop and change it, they still give away ridiculous goals. Another part that Michael found difficult was the fact that he's not the most engaging personality when it comes to getting to know the supporters as well. So, you know, Dean Holden had that by the bucketful, and that actually gave him an unbelievable amount of leeway, I'd suggest, with some of the supporters who, you know, I've seen some people calling for him to come back. When you have to actually look at his results, they weren't particularly spectacular. But so Michael didn't buy himself any time by, you know, growing some sort of rapport with the fans, and you know, he became almost a pantomime villain by the end of it. I found it quite difficult, actually, the last 72 hours. You could see it was affecting Michael, the way he spoke about it in his press conference with Nick on Monday, and you can see how much it's affecting the fans as well, because they hated him, and I haven't seen such a hate figure down at Charlton for a while like that, you know, especially not a manager, and it was just the separation of ways had to come sooner rather than later, because it was really, really toxic down there, and it was really quite uncomfortable, actually.
Joe, we've seen a multiple amount of players come in. Connor Coventry is a very good player to bring in at the level. Macaulay Gillespie won promotion last year. There's some really good quality players in there. But Who's buying these players? It is Andy Scott, but who is he buying them for? What kind of manager?
Well, that's the golden question, I think, because I mean Appleton himself in an interview said that the conversation about three at the back had come up over a course of 3 or 4 weeks with the coaching team, and then he went on to sort of say that he was enjoying starting to coach three at the back. It was like it's a formation that he wasn't used to, or even particularly au fait with how he was going to bring that to reality. So how much of that is him pushing for that? How much of that is the fact that the wingers that we've got are looking to, one of them has left, and Tyrese Campbell hasn't signed a contract offer that he's got. So there is, the whole model is for Scott to be there as a guiding force for the foreseeable and to outlive and outlast managers. And he's been very successful at that because he's currently on to his third. But he also has to therefore hire managers that are going to want to work with the type of player that he's going to come in. And I don't think that Appleton didn't have a say. The likes of Fiorini, he's worked with before. Coventry, he's worked with before. So these are players that he knows. But ultimately, he needs to, the club need to get a unit there and a coaching team there that is all on the same page as Andy Scott. And I think Andy would say he did that with Appleton, but it's not worked out like that.
Who next then? Because we've been talking about Nathan Jones, and he's been widely reported to be the favourite. Is he a realistic appointment, Steve? Louis, jump in on this. I mean, who the names been banded around?
Yeah, for me, he's realistic because he's not picked up a job as yet, and I know we were talking about him potentially picking up a championship job recently that slid by, and the more that you go for and the more you miss out on, the more anxious you actually tend to get, Aaron. So what he'll say probably is if it's the right project, he would look to drop into League One. He'll only know if it's the right project if he sits down with the ownership group and discusses what he is allowed to do, what he isn't allowed to do, what money and funding and players he will be allowed to bring in the summer, etc, etc. And that would all have to be ironed out long before he made his decision. So with that in mind, we were discussing last night, how do you approach the next appointment? Do you do someone short term till the end of the season to buy time to do a thorough process in the next manager?
Short term?
Yeah, for 3 months, yeah.
Why?
Because you won't be able to pick the right manager in the next 2 weeks, and you'll rush it and you'll be sacking him at the end of the season again.
But doesn't it also show that you believe that this season is over?
It is over. Why would you say it's not over? We're 4 points off relegation.
No.
You've got no chance. You've got no chance of catching the playoffs with this current.
Anything is possible.
Absolutely not.
Tell that to Nottingham Forest under Steve Cooper.
I don't care. Nottingham Forest probably playing better football than we are.
They were woeful.
We've conceded 44 goals. What are you going to do to stop that?
What about your old mate Gary Rowett?
I wouldn't employ Gary, sadly. If you're asking me, you're asking me as a person.
No, not as a person.
I wouldn't pick Gary.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fine. Louis?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking through the statement. There's just been a statement actually put out by the club. It doesn't seem to give a great deal more actually, but it's just confirming what we know, that Curtis Fleming's going to be in interim charge, and talking about.
Steve?
Well, so that's the big thing,
because
he's never worked with Michael Appleton before. I mean, that's got a lot of people thinking, oh, does that mean that Nigel Pearson's going to suddenly show up because he was Nigel's assistant at Bristol City, and Jason Yule's name's been thrown out as someone who'd be willing to come back to the club as well, who also worked with those two at Ashton Gate. So yeah, that was a strange one. I don't know about you, Brownie, but for me it felt like it undermined the manager a little bit, bringing in an assistant that didn't seem to be his pick. Yeah,
it was almost like it was being lined up that, they were safeguarded again, because they had no one other than Jason Pearce behind Michael as assistant. So therefore, you bring Curtis in to try and offer some additional help. But if it keeps going south, you're not going to get rid of Curtis after 2 weeks. So it was a strange one. It's always odd when someone comes in, a staff member's forced upon the current manager without his say so.
They tried that at the start of the season when Dean Holding, just before he was sacked, with Chris Powell. So it's the second time they've done that, and I just think it's a slightly unnerving situation for a head coach or a manager to be put in, and both times it's resulted within the space of 10 days with that manager being sacked as well.
Well, this is going to be interesting, and the reason I talk about this league being like the league not being over, is because League One isn't as strong as it was last year. It's a very strange place to be.
Which is even more condemning of the form and points tally we have and the goals we've conceded.
But look at who else is down there. I think there's worse things happening.
There's certainly. I don't expect this team to get relegated, but it's got no chance of getting, into the playoffs, Harry. So the season is over effectively in that respect. Oh, I don't. My betting against you is not proven to be very astute.
Was it at all? Anyway, let's head towards the news. This is BBC Radio London, live from Craven Cottage. Fulham against Liverpool en route. Louis, Joe, thank you for your time this evening. The football correspondent, the BBC's football correspondent, will be joining us a little bit later on as well to preview this fixture. Plenty more on the way. But first, London's headlines read for you by Will.
At 6:30 with the latest for London, I'm Will Schindler. The government says local councils in England will get an extra £600 million this year as many struggle to fund services. More than 40 Conservative MPs had signed a letter to the Prime Minister earlier this week urging him to provide extra cash for town halls. Labour says the money isn't nearly enough. Rishi Sunak has pledged to maintain Royal Mail's obligation to deliver letters 6 days a week after regulators suggested it could be reduced to as few as 3 days. Ofcom has put forward a number of ideas for changing the postal service because of concerns it's too costly to run in its current form. Billionaire Joe Lewis, whose family trust owns Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, has pleaded guilty to insider trading in a US court. Lewis was accused of passing information about companies he invested in to his private pilots, friends, personal assistants and girlfriends. US authorities say that the fraud netted millions of dollars in profit. London's weather, clear spells, but still breezy this evening. The outside chance of some light rain or drizzle is possible overnight with lows of 4 Celsius. For an update anytime, ask your smart speaker to play BBC News for London.
I'm Fiona McKinnon with the BBC Radio London travel and taking a look out the roads first of all. Still rather slow for the M25 clockwise approaching junction 6 at Gosden. Just before that junction, the inside lane is closed after a breakdown. Anti-clockwise at the Clackett Lane services, there's no fuel available at the Lurry pumps. And slow still for the M25 clockwise at junction 15 at the M4. Watch out for delays on the M1 northbound from junction 10, the Luton Airport Spur Road up to 11 at Dunstable. And in Kensington, the A4 Tollgarth Road is partly blocked eastbound by West Kensington Station by the North End Road because of a breakdown. Do update us if it's safe on 0800 731 2000. Now with the tube, severe delays still for the Piccadilly line between Acton Town and Uxbridge and Heathrow, and severe delays for the Central line on the eastern section between Leytonstone and Epping and Woodford, and the western section between North Acton and West Ruislip and Ealing Broadway. Minor delays for the rest of the Central line. On the trains, there's disruption between Reading and Bedwin until around 8 p.m. with no Great Western Railway service between Newbury and Bedwin at the moment. And a reminder, there is a train strike coming up. Train drivers in the ASLEF union will take industrial action next week. There's a series of one-day strikes coming up between Tuesday the 30th of January and Monday the 5th of February, affecting different operators each day, with an overtime ban in place from Monday the 29th of January until the 6th of February. Fiona McKinnon, next updates at 7.
BBC Radio London.
Just beaming all over you. Isn't this a wonderful story? This is how it should be, Andrea.
It exactly is.
Your London and your life.
I've had a young man by the name of Eddie Nestor that stopped me and told me to hone my craft. And I'm here doing pantomime at the Hackney Empire after 20-odd-something years.
I think you've got people who'll want to marry you, actually.
Thank you, Salma. You're the best. Have a great day.
Yes, you take me back to my childhood.
That's never a bad thing.
BBC Radio London.
Thank you for what you've done over the last year supporting our city.
Yeah, it's London.
This is by far the champion.
News, information, and a place to talk.
Text 81333, starting your message with the word London.
Texts are charged at your standard message rate. See our privacy notice at bbc.co.uk/local radio privacy, or find us on social media.
BBC
Radio London.
Yeah, welcome back to Craven Cottage, the banks of the River Thames, the stadium now open, and we're seeing fans just slowly meander towards their seats, which are all adorned in white and black flags. Yeah, it's going to be alive tonight. You just have this feeling around this place. There's something in the air, a bit of expectation with Fulham potentially a win away from Wembley, but they've got to do it the hard way. They have to recover from a 2-1 deficit if they are to make the National Stadium and the League Cup final in February. Let's head back outside. Nick Godwin is somewhere in and around Craven Cottage. Where you made it to, Nick?
I'm in the shadow of the Johnny Haynes stand, and there is a sense of anticipation here because the Liverpool coach is just arriving. We've seen the Fulham coaches appear. We saw Tim Ream come off the coach. We saw Raul. We saw Raul Jimenez, rather. We saw, all manner of Fulham players making their way, all looking very confident, all looking very excited. But the massive, very understated Liverpool coach has just arrived. I don't know if you've ever seen it before. Very, very understated. You barely know it's a Liverpool coach. It's bright red. It's got a massive Liverpool crest on the side, and it says, "You'll never walk alone," in big white capital letters on the side. When Liverpool arrive, they really, really do arrive, and the players are starting to make their way off. And would you believe, Aaron, I'm shocked to discover that there are some Liverpool fans that live in this city. I'm absolutely amazed. That all the people that are here tonight aren't from around the corner of Fulham supporters, and it's the Liverpool fans now who are kind of crowding round the coach with their phones, trying to capture the moment when their heroes are making their way off their transportation and into the cottage to get ready for this match. So there was a little bit of a free sort of excitement, actually. So all the Fulham fans have cleared off because the Fulham fans there to grab all their photographs and their videos of the Fulham players as they made their way into the cottage. Oh, who are they booing now? That's quite exciting. So they're booing someone, Aaron. I'm not quite sure who that was. Who was it? Oh, okay, right. Yeah, there's quite a bit of back and forth, to be honest with you, Aaron. It's quite exciting. But yeah, it's all Liverpool fans here. There was a Liverpool fan who I was speaking to, but he's now shouting at the players. So I might leave him to
are they booing you,
enjoy
Nick?
his evening.
Nick, are they
no
booing
one's
you?
paying any attention to me at all. Honestly, every single person has turned their back on me and are focused on this. I mean, this Liverpool, I've never seen, this is extraordinary, this coach they've got, Aaron. Honestly, the least understated thing you could possibly imagine.
Nick,
but yeah, the Liverpool.
Why don't you go and ask the driver
Liverpool
if he give you a bit of a look around, because we're going to talk to the football correspondent about more serious
Do you know what?
matters.
I think John Murray is infinitely better placed to talk about this than I am currently, buried by Liverpool fans.
John, are you? What was it? What's the most impressive football coach bus you've ever seen? Any?
Most impressive football coach? I think probably those ones that you see at the tournaments where they're obviously all geared up for all of the individual countries, and they've got the slogans on the side. But I don't have a huge amount to draw on from that question, I have to confess.
I was hoping you were going to say the FA Cup special. From
this man here has probably given better answers about football coaches since you'll have been on them.
Yeah. I wondered if there was two there, because the players look like they'll be getting off a bus. Yeah, there is two. They're getting off a separate one to the staff. That's how big staff structures are.
Well, that's a very
now.
good point.
Yeah.
And to be honest, even two buses sometimes, you'd actually expect more than that, 3 or 4 buses.
It's incredible.
See, John, I'm worried about more pertinent issues like this is the London Borough of Hammersmith and Fulham. Where are they going to park it?
Yeah.
Have you seen the roads around there? Where are they going to park it? It's very, very narrow.
It's Liverpool Football Club, Aaron.
You can't stick it in a permit bay.
No, you can't.
They'll give you a ticket.
Otherwise, it won't be there when you come back.
Someone's nicking the coach. John, good evening. Thanks for joining us here on the home of London football.
Yeah, looking forward to this. Looking forward to this very much.
What a ground. What an occasion.
Yeah, great occasion. I think, being at Anfield a fortnight ago at a ground where semi-finals are so common, the punters there, the supporters there, it's there. They feel it's their right to turn up at Anfield every season and see matches like this of this standing. Obviously for Fulham that's less the case, and they've not been able, the Fulham supporters, to come into this ground and watch a semi-final since obviously the Roy Hodgson European run. So that's well over a decade ago. So there'll be plenty of Fulham fans who've grown up without this experience. So that's what makes it special tonight. So it will be special. It's rare and it will be rousing. But whether that's going to be enough to see Fulham to the win that they need, and they've got to win clearly, I'm not sure.
It's been a mixed season for Fulham. We were talking about it with Steve earlier, where this squad you feel is always sort of at the point of threadbare. They always need something. They're always lacking something. When they're missing João Palhinha, they're missing there's a cavernous hole in their midfield. They've obviously, we've talked extensively about what goes on in attack with Alexander Mitrovic departing the club in the summer. Raul Jimenez has taken time to improve. Tosin Adarabioyo, he's only just come back. People are talking about him potentially going across to AC Milan. There's always something at Fulham.
But that first team that they've got, which I presume we're going to see tonight, and I'm not 100% sure who exactly is going to be in midfield, whether it's going to be Tom Kearney, whether it's going to be Harrison Reed like it was at Anfield. We'll find out very shortly. But obviously Polina is here. I think Bassi, last time I was here, played exceptionally well against Arsenal, I felt. So, but Diop's obviously in place alongside Adarabioyo, whose reputation is growing all of the time. That team, if they are able to put in a performance like they did against Arsenal, when really that day, it just felt to me as though Fulham wanted it a little more. And do they want it? How much do they want this tonight? You know, to do something that is so rare in the history of Fulham Football Club, to reach a cup final. What an opportunity they've got on their home ground, and they're going to have to replicate that kind of performance, and they need that man Jimenez to be much more involved in the game than he was able to be at Anfield.
It's a special stadium, isn't it?
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, it's my favourite. Without question, of all the places we go, this is right up, if not at the top, then very close to it. Just because of the history. I think that there is not a better walk to our football ground in this country than when you come down the river from Putney. I think that is unequalled. And when you get in here, it's an absolute joy to be inside this stadium, in this place, whether you're out here in the stand or whether you're inside down below, unlike anywhere else.
It is a bit of a stately home of English football.
It is, yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
There's something very, very special about it. What are you thinking tonight? Difficult night for Fulham?
I just think Liverpool will prevail. I just think they'll have enough. They've scored in every away game this season. They've lost only once domestically, and that was the controversial game at Tottenham. Jurgen Klopp as well, he just knows, doesn't he? As a manager, he's been involved in 13 semi-finals and he's only lost one. So it just everything leans towards Liverpool. I mean, it's going to be very, very tough for Fulham, but that doesn't mean to say that it's impossible.
Brownie, you're grimacing there. Was that because of your knees or?
No, obviously I'm sat next to a master in terms of stats.
We both are.
Absolutely. So you just listen, and the stats that come out about Liverpool, 1 loss in 13 attempts, just makes you go, if you thought it was tough, John's stats just make it sound so much tougher.
They were very, very professional against Bournemouth. I think Virgil van Dijk looked back to his best as well. It's probably one of the most efficient sort of 7-8 out of 10 performances I've seen from him in a long time.
But again, all season talk to Liverpool fans, and I think many of them will tell you that this is still this Liverpool team is still really bedding in, even though they're progressing on all 4 fronts and top of the Premier League by 5 points. I think that there have been times this season where it's felt that they haven't absolutely clicked. So there are still I don't think they feel that this is as good a team as it was when they won the Premier League.
No Mo Salah
tonight, yeah. And no Alexander-Arnold.
Well, no Mo Salah, no problem, but potentially return for Andy Robertson on the left.
Yeah, I think maybe on the bench tonight, but we'll find out very shortly.
John, enjoy it. Thank you. For
Thanks,
us
Aaron.
On the Home of London
Thanks,
Football.
Steve.
Really
have a good night.
That is the BBC's football correspondent John Murray with us. You can listen to his dulcet tones over on BBC Radio 5 Live. Of course, we'll be bringing you the full game on BBC Radio London tonight. Let's push on and talk WSL. Are we going to talk WSL? In fact, you know what? We're going to talk Conti Cup. Reading against Arsenal. My old mob, Reading Women's, decimated by Dai Young. We've got live action to bring you elsewhere throughout this evening. It's the final round of group games in the Women's League Cup tonight. It's a very complicated competition, but Emily Herbert is in Reading for us, where Arsenal travelled, and can hopefully tell us more. Emily.
Yes, they have. Arsenal have travelled to face Reading in the Conti Cup tonight, and if Arsenal win, they will qualify for the quarter-finals as group winners. And with no Champions League football this year, making it to the final stages of this tournament is imperative for Jonas Eidevall's side, and even more so now that they've been handed that tricky FA Cup 5th round tie against Manchester City next month. But returning to form at the weekend against Everton and looking dominant throughout this competition, it looks pretty positive for the Gunners tonight, and it's no secret how much Arsenal love the Conti Cup, currently holding the record for the most titles with 6 in the bag, and it will be looking to add to that history this season too. Team News and Jonas Eidervoll makes 3 changes to his Conti Cup squad. Steph Catley, Caitlin Ford and Victoria Palova return, coming in for Carla Moritz, who have left the club in the January transfer window, and Vivian Miedemar gets shifted to the bench. Skipper Kim Little is also on that bench, and if she makes it on the pitch tonight, it will mark her 300th appearance for the club. And some may say the biggest news tonight is that England captain Leah Williamson has returned to the matchday squad, but is on the bench for now, returning from her ACL injury that she sustained last April, so we may see her play tonight. As for the opposition, for Reading, they're all the way at the other end of the table, bottom in fact, and their financial troubles mean they are 10th in the Championship table and not entirely safe from relegation. In December, a trip to Bristol saw the Royals secure their first points of the campaign. A late equaliser from Charlie Wellings forced the game into penalties, and it was Eve Annett who emerged as the hero, saving Bristol City's final penalty and clinching a vital victory. Team News and Liam Gilbert has made a big 5 changes to his side. The same Charlie Wellings, Tia Primer, Lauren Wade and Lily Woodham come into the Royal side, and I expect that has something to do with the regular squad not returning to full health after they got food poisoning from some chicken at their last game against Wolves. But rotation is not a bad thing. We're able to get some minutes into other players. But sitting at opposite ends of the group, logically, Arsenal have been dominant so far in this campaign and will hope to put their place in the quarterfinals tonight against the Royals.
Food poisoning from some chicken, did you say?
Yes, they got some chicken. They were playing at Aldershot and there was some food poisoning in the chicken. So, they were due to play Birmingham, I think, at the weekend, and that got called off because the squad was all ill. And
any idea on how this competition works, Emily, by the way?
Well, if Arsenal win, they progress to the quarterfinals. Is it the top 1 or top 2 that go through? I think it's the top 1. I should know this, really. I think, Arsenal will go through if they win tonight. Reading will not go through because they're bottom of the table.
Yeah, not good at all at the Medeski. Enjoy that one, Emily. We'll be back with you as the evening progresses. Steve Brown, have you ever had food poisoning whilst as a player?
No, never. Not once, actually.
Lucky. Emma, you were telling us a story earlier. I know, you're busy with the team news. You were telling us about a rogue sausage here at Craven Cottage a few years ago, which potentially led to you becoming a contributing factor.
Yeah, there was a sausage here that maybe just felt like it hadn't been fully defrosted. Which I never think is a good thing to eat, but I was hungry. But I did wonder if it might be my last meal. But it ended up being one of my last meat-based meals. I figure a slightly undefrosted aubergine is less dangerous, I thought.
Well, you never know, because there are some things like vegetable-wise, like kidney beans, pulses, that can kill you if you don't cook them properly.
Right, if they've got a flick knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the old Brentford pie cabinet?
I remember that they wouldn't turn the tea urn on until half-time.
No, but do you remember...
And the biscuit tin.
I remember that.
Do you remember the cabinet? Because I was trying to describe it on radio the other day, where it was a front loader and a back loader, and they'd load frozen pies in at the back, but then it was before the era of like convection fan ovens, so what it was 2 hot plates on top of each other, and you had to put your arm in but hope that no one jolted you behind, because otherwise you get a 3rd degree burn on the surface of your hand.
I think Billy Reeves used to get his own cheese and onion pasty that nobody else was allowed to touch.
Well, I mean, he had a good idea, because half of them all come out frozen.
Yeah.
You just had to pick the right one.
Yeah, that's the thing. They were either cold or they were so hot they burnt the roof of your mouth.
Rogue. You remember that gave you a bit of a laugh at the old Brentford pie cabinet.
Yeah.
I want to know, when Griffin Pot was demolished, who took that home?
Oh, no
I heard
one,
it's in Phil Parry's front room. No? Chelsea, meanwhile, secured their passage to Wembley in the league with an emphatic in the League Cup, with an emphatic win over Middlesbrough at the Bridge last night, trailing 1-0 from the first half. Goals from the likes of Cold Palmer, poured water. Yeah, I didn't write that. Cold Palmer poured water on Borough's hopes of springing a surprise.
Everybody gets high sometimes, you know.
Slips from the outside of the boot. Sterling in on goal. Raheem Sterling plays it square. Royo with the final touch. Great football. Started off by Chilwell, and he levels it up. And
it's an amazing achievement, because I think it was the objective when we started. The job is done, but now it's about to win the final. But on another side, looks like it's not important, because Chelsea is about to win Champions League and Premier League, and looks like it's not so important. I think we need to start to realize and to give credit to the team.
So go Chelsea again, into the path of Eto'o, 2-0.
Yes, I am desperate to win a title here. We won in 1 year and a half in Paris 3 trophies, and we want to win here. I am desperate to win. That is the headline.
They try and advance with Sterling down the right-hand side. Into Disasi! 3-0 Chelsea!
I'd love to win the League Cup. Obviously I haven't won that. I think it was a few years ago we got to the final there and lost. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back there and hopefully getting the win this time.
As Palmer now has it for Chelsea! Scores a fourth! Chelsea now heading towards Wembley in the League Cup final. Easily won by Cole Palmer, who just jabs it beyond Tom Glover and sends, surely now, Chelsea to the League Cup final.
Top guy and a top player as well, and it's important now that he continues this. He started the first half of the season. He's been brilliant, and he's so important to us. So it's important now that he continues that for the rest of the season. We've got some massive games. We've got a big game on Friday, and hopefully he can just continue that for the rest of the season.
Gallagher has nicked the ball. Chelsea down the left-hand side, chips it back. Palmer, 5-0. Conor Gallagher creating down at the Matthew Harding end, cuts it back to Cole Palmer, who gets his second goal of the game. It's 5-0. Madueke into the penalty area. Madueke for Chelsea! 6-0. Well, that might be...
What we are improving, I think, is we believe in, never give up, don't listen too much. What happened when we don't win or we don't score goals, to keep the focus, to see the reality in the way that we need to see the reality.
Chelsea through to Wembley after an emphatic win over Middlesbrough at Stamford Bridge. Before we kick off and welcome Lucy and Eva into the programme, Steve Brown, Justin Bieber, you there, Jim?
Yeah.
Do you like a bit of the Biebs?
Yeah, don't mind.
Yeah?
That's what I'm saying, all sorts. I just struggle with the older stuff.
Favourite Justin Bieber song?
Oh, hold on, what's the one? As long as you do. That's Bieber, isn't it?
As long as you do what?
I've forgotten the words.
Lucy, leave.
As long as you love me, obviously. That's Steve's all over
That was clear, Aaron.
Yeah.
I mean, considering your knowledge of quiz.
Emma Jones is not having that. You're not having that, are you, Emma?
That's a vintage
That's not Justin
Belieber.
Bieber, is it?
2012.
As long as you love me.
I thought it was the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah. Nah.
The Backstreet Boys.
So it actually turns out I am quite good at quizzing pop then.
You haven't got a Scooby. Lucy, talk to us about last night. Mauricio Pochettino desperate to win a competition, and he's a game away from doing so.
Yeah. Obviously, there was a lot of nerves jangling going into the game after the absolutely shambolic, it has to be said, performance up at Middlesbrough where they couldn't hit a barn door. Cole Palmer specifically couldn't hit a barn door, and he absolutely rectified that. He was obviously man of the match last night, absolutely influential and integral once again. But I do think, as I wrote in my BBC Sports Chelsea article earlier, the man of the moment actually who kind of unlocked everything for Chelsea was actually Ben Chilwell being back, because he has been so sorely missed in that left-back berth. Unleashed Levi Colwill to slot over to his much preferred left side of the centre-back along with Thiago Silva, who was fantastic as always, and he was just bombing up and down that wing, causing chaos for the Middlesbrough defenders. Axel Disasi on the right-hand side then thought, I want to get in on this action. He was absolutely influential in the second goal, scored the third goal. So those wing-backs, as you would have it, the marauding wing-backs, the return of Chilwell was absolutely huge, and I think he really set the tone, and he obviously is captain in the absence of Reece James, and he was a real leader on the pitch. Him and Pochettino were talking throughout the whole evening, and you could just tell he was loving having his kind of general back on the pitch. So I think that was massive. But yeah, they were just really professional, really clinical, some great team goals, and yeah, an all-round super positive evening.
Steve, do I sit here and go, yeah, great win for Chelsea, or do I sit here and go, good win for Chelsea, but with respect, it's Middlesbrough?
No, you sit there and go, great win for Chelsea. Is what I would say. The only real chance I thought Middlesbrough had last night is if they got the first goal, and even then I still probably would have backed Chelsea to have come back, if the goal was early enough to have got the result. But once Chelsea scored first, that was that was for me game over. But yeah, I think, Aaron, with the season they're having, the pressure they're under, yes, of course you expect them to beat Middlesbrough, but I don't think you go, with all due respect, I think you go, well done Chelsea. They were poor up at Middlesbrough. And they knew they had to get a result, which they should have done, but it brings the pressure, and they got through.
Lucy, do you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I think it was obviously an absolutely season-defining game for them, as Friday night is, I suppose, now, because with all that confidence they will have taken from last night's goal fest, with the way that they've improved in their league form as well, obviously admittedly against not the top of opponents, but they've looked a lot better, looked more free-flowing, looked like they've been able to break down low blocks, which has been an issue all season long. I think now going into that Villa game on Friday, which again is a huge opportunity for Chelsea to progress in the FA Cup. We know that they love that competition too. I think a weight have just kind of been lifted off a little bit, and they do feel like maybe some of these young players do belong. They can perform at the highest level. They do fit at this club, and I think, yeah, it's a sign of really positive things to come, hopefully. Obviously, the Europa Conference League is not the Champions League, but it is a competition that Chelsea will want to be in and will want to win if they get there.
Is the pressure off Mauricio Pochettino now, or is it still on?
It will always be on. That's just how Chelsea is. But as my dad has quite amusingly just sent around our family WhatsApp group, Chelsea lost their owner, got a new owner, got rid of nearly an entire squad, brought an entire new squad, sacked 3 managers, and still got to another cup final before Spurs. Mic drop.
I love Big Arthur's optimism, don't you, Brownie? What a legend.
Yeah, I mean, Poch have him in the dressing room, no?
Yes. Maurizio, go sign him up. Get Big Arthur in there. Do it. Pressure still on him?
Yeah. I think. Lucy summed it up. The pressure's always on the Chelsea manager because of the money they spend and the expectation levels that have been brought onto that football club over the last 15, 20 years. So, of course it is. But I think there's sympathy across the football world because people understand how difficult it is to do what Chelsea are trying to do. They're reinventing an entire squad almost, and yes, of course they've spent billions, and people will frown upon that and expect them to do well, but the pressure's always on.
That was last night. This is tonight. This is the home of London football. We have Fulham against Liverpool to come from 8 o'clock tonight. You, however, have a choice of listening. After this, I'm carrying on DAB with all the build-up to this game, but on 94.9 FM. Jacqueline Shepherd will be with you with London Nightlife.
On the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker,
play BBC Radio London,
and on your radio.
The sound of London is BBC Radio London.
At 7 with the latest for London and Will Schindler, the head of the British Army has added his voice to the growing number of senior NATO commanders, warning that alliance nations need to start preparing for a potential war with Russia. General Sir Patrick Sanders said Britain should get ready to train a citizen army. General Sir Peter Wall was Chief of General Staff in the British Army. He said General Sanders was calling for a cultural change.
What he's saying is we need to change our psyche. We need a major national mindset shift back towards the way we used to think about these sorts of things. But actually, it's also part of our something to do with our political mojo and our preparedness to do the things that will defend our values and stop people, frankly, cocking a snook at us, which is what they're doing at the moment.
The British billionaire Joe Lewis, whose family trust owns Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, has pleaded guilty to insider trading in the US. Lewis, who's 86, was accused of passing information about his companies to his private pilots, friends, personal assistants and romantic partners. They then made millions of dollars in profits by trading shares. Survivors of the Holocaust have told MPs they object to plans to build a memorial and education centre in central London. Campaigners say the proposals in Victoria Tower Gardens will overshadow an anti-slavery monument in the park. Anita Lasker-Wallfish, who is 98, was a cellist in the Women's Orchestra of Auschwitz. She said the plans would lump together the Holocaust with other genocides.
Like it or not, this genocide was different.
It has not stopped. A Jew, unlike a Rwandan, is not safe anywhere now. And it's almost an insult to think of a learning centre.
Speedboat killer Jack Shepherd has been released from prison after he was jailed for 6 years over the death of 24-year-old Charlotte Brown on a date. Shepherd was freed after serving half of his sentence behind bars. Miss Brown died in December 2015 after she was thrown from the boat when it capsized on the River Thames after hitting a submerged tree trunk. The original trial heard the pair had been drinking champagne and the boat was in poor condition.
Hello, I'm Corsa Kwama with London's weather. Staying cloudy with outbreaks of rain to end the day and into this evening too, with strong southwesterly winds reaching gale force at times with gusts of 45 to 50 miles per hour as we head through the night, courtesy of Storm Jocelyn. There'll be some further outbreaks of rain this evening, heavy in places, but by the end of the night, dry and clear with lows of 8 to 11 Celsius. Still windy tomorrow morning, but the winds will gradually ease, dry and bright with sunshine around, becoming cloudier to end the day, and highs tomorrow of 9 to 12 degrees.
For an update anytime, ask your smart speaker to play BBC News for London.
I'm Fiona McKinnon with the BBC Radio London Travel. Taking a look at the roads in Lakeside, the A13 is partly blocked eastbound at the M25 junction 30 after collision. That's after car left the carriageway. We've got delays on the approach to this. The M25 clockwise, just before you get to junction 6 at Godstone, has the Idstone Lane closed after breakdown. And anti-clockwise at the Clacking Lane services, there's no fuel available at the lorry pumps. Rather slow for the A12 heading east, approaching the A406 and the Redbridge roundabout. And now to Fulham, the Fulham Road, the A304 is closed ahead of the match at Stamford Bridge between the Harwood Road and Gunter Grove, so do expect delays in the area. And you can update us if it's safe on 0800 731 2000. Now with the Tube, there are severe delays for the Piccadilly line between Acton Town and Uxbridge and Heathrow. Severe delays for the Central line between Leytonstone and Epping and Woodford, and also between North Acton and West Ruislip and Ealing Broadway. And a reminder that there is a train strike coming up next week. Train drivers and the ASLEF union will be taking industrial action in a long-running dispute over pay. There'll be a series of one-day strikes between Tuesday the 30th of January and Monday the 5th of February, affecting different operators each day, with an overtime ban also in place from the 29th of Jan until the 6th of Feb. Fiona McKinnon, BBC Radio London.
BBC Radio London.
The home of London football.
Yeah, evening all from the banks of the River Thames. We are at Craven Cottage for Fulham against Liverpool. It's the second leg of the semi-final of the League Cup. A place at Wembley awaits the victor. Fulham with plenty of work to do, though. They're 2-1 behind in this tie. Emma Jones has the team news.
I can tell you Fulham making one change from the first leg, and it's a change of captain as well. Harrison Reed dropping to the bench. Tom Cairney starts alongside João Paulinho in midfield. 3 changes from the Liverpool side that got that 2-1 win at Anfield. Jarell Quansah starts in defence, and Nunes and Gakpo scored in every League Cup game so far this season. Both players who came off the bench to make the difference at Anfield start this evening.
Thank you very much, Emma. Steve, just looking at those lineups, I'll pull up the both lineups individually, but the first eye is on the Fulham midfield, isn't it? Everyone's looking at that. João Paulinho starts and Tom Cairney alongside him.
Yeah, they had to go strong. I guess when you're chasing a game, you want Cairney to maybe perhaps get on the ball and provide. Harrison Reed, we know, likes to break forward, but I don't think he's as good in possession with the ball than Cairney is. So maybe that's the idea behind that one. Push Cairney up a little bit higher. Paulinho will always sit in front of that back line to protect it. And with him in possession, he might create a little bit more than Harrison Reed does. But for Liverpool, I think that tells you he's a little bit worried. He's got to get this over the line because he's gone a lot stronger, I think, with the 2 changes.
Is this as strong as possible?
I'll have to have a look, but I think, yeah, I mean, you're bringing in 2. Gakpo and Nunes means I want a goal quick.
No, I mean for Fulham.
Yeah, of course they have to. What they got?
But is this their strongest 11?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Reed and Cairney. Reed and Cairney's based on the who you're playing against, I think.
Sorry, strongest of who's available, I would say. But it's interesting, Harrison Reed has not only played but been the captain, in recent League Cup games. I'm not taking anything off Tom Cairney, but that was a difficult call to make, I think.
Really difficult call, and if you're Harrison Reed, you're going to be really, really disappointed. But they are chasing, and I think Tom Cairney is maybe a little bit more effective than Harrison Reed higher up the pitch, maybe.
Just taking a look at Liverpool, Jarell Kwanzaa involved from the start, Andy Robertson on the bench for Jurgen Klopp's side tonight. No Mo Salah. He's of course injured after the African Cup of Nations, Steve, but no problem for them because they have got a dearth of options in attack.
Yeah, look, that's what we were saying and alluding to earlier on in the show, was that Liverpool can, put their hands in their pockets. They're quite deep, aren't they? And they can pull out a player from quite low down, and it doesn't really weaken them. We know when they're at home, he doesn't mind putting a young player in because of the atmosphere. It's great when you're a club that can control when you put the youngsters in and when you pull them out. Away games is a bit tougher. He's gone strong here, or slightly stronger than he was at home, and I think that tells you where he thinks this game's at, which is Fulham on the front foot trying to get an equaliser, and he knows he needs his top players across the front line.
Having looked at the lineup, how do you feel now about this one?
Well, if I'm honest with you, I always felt that this was going to be a very, as we've said already, a very tough night for Fulham. But it's not insurmountable. We're not talking about, you talked about Chelsea, Middlesbrough. Everyone expected Chelsea to get through. This game's not like that by any stretch of the imagination. Fulham, as we've seen here against Arsenal, on their day, when they get their tactics right and the opposition don't quite hit the levels they need to hit, Fulham will take full advantage of that. They just need to get an 8 or 9 out of 10 across the board here, Fulham, to make it very, very competitive.
A goal's going to be a problem, though, because we know Raul Jimenez blows hot and cold in places. He is the preferred option up front consistently for Marco Silva, who's really given it a go in trying to, I don't want to say fix him, but in trying to reinvent him as a footballer. Are you surprised he went for him and not someone like a Carlos Vinicius, more of a battering ram in attack?
No, I would imagine he quite likes the football intelligence of Jimenez. The timing of the runs off the shoulder. Yeah, look, whoever they put in isn't an out-and-out natural goal scorer at this moment in time. Jimenez has struggled for form, as you've said earlier, at times. Vinicius is a bit of a battering ram. I understand why he's gone Jimenez. Yes, of course, I think it's a feature with Fulham at times where they do struggle to score goals. They've had periods where they've struggled, and then they had those 2 5-0ers out of nowhere, which makes their goals for column look a little bit unrealistic to considering either side of that they've struggled a little bit.
Do you look at the goalkeeper, the Liverpool goalkeeper, Kelleher, and think potential mistake in there? He's not Alisson, is he?
He's not, of course he's not. No, otherwise he'd be starting every week. But yeah, I think, is that not more a principle thing? He plays in the cup games and therefore...
Maybe, but the question is, do you look at him and does Marco Silva take advantage of him, boys? Shoot on sight?
No, I don't think he's a poor enough goalkeeper to shoot on sight and you're going to score. But, I think he's an adequate enough goalkeeper, and I quite like the way Klopp has stuck to his principles on that, because as you get to the later stages, there is that little doubt in your mind, I'm going to play Alisson. He's not. He's stuck with him. And that tells you he's confident in Kelleher. I don't think there's an issue there, Aaron.
Steve, thank you for the moment. We're back. Meanwhile, at Stamford Bridge tonight, Chelsea host Real Madrid in the Women's Champions League. The Blues need to win one of their 2 remaining games to guarantee qualification to the quarter-finals. Emma Hayes and midfielder Erin Cuthbert have been looking ahead to this one in their pre-match press conference yesterday, and they both agree that the visitors are incredibly tricky opponents.
There's nothing more dangerous than playing a team that has nothing to play for. So they will fear nothing. They have their pride on the line, and yes, they're playing for 3 points, but they can't qualify. I think it's a dangerous place for us if our mentality is to rule them out of the game, and I'm sure Erin could elaborate on it. It's something we won't be doing.
No, certainly not. I've been in dressing rooms before where you technically don't have anything to play for, and I think that's when you express yourself the most, you play with the most amount of freedom. So I think they'll come out with nothing to lose and no expectations on them. The eyes won't be on them, and I think that's when, as a dressing room, I think we've went through that in previous years where nobody expects you to win. Everybody expects you, just to fall at the last hurdle, but I think they'll be looking to push and show exactly why they should be in Champions League and they should be qualifying. But to be honest with you, it's a really tough group. I think, we've showed that in the games that we played Paris. We played Häcken away and it was really, really tough. So I think all 4 teams in the group are very good.
And Erin Cuthbert says that these are the kind of games you want to be involved in as a player.
Yeah, of course, when you're a young kid, you want to be playing Stamford Bridge under the lights, playing against top team in Europe. So I'm really excited by it, but it's one that's a great challenge, and I think we'll be looking to win tomorrow night. But we know that it comes with a process. I think how we started the game on Sunday is how we'll be looking to start again tomorrow night. We certainly put them on the back foot, and we're making Stamford Bridge more and more our home, and when people come to our home, they don't dominate us, we dominate them.
There were some very dubious refereeing decisions when these two met out in Madrid, and Emma Hayes is hoping to avoid a repeat tonight.
There was a goal scored legitimately that wasn't offside, and a penalty that wasn't inside of the box, so there's hope for strong officiating, and that's really what the girls deserve tomorrow, to make sure we're not on the receiving end of poor official decisions.
Yeah, and how important to actually win the group too.
Yeah, critical. We want that. We expect that for ourselves, and we're at home. I think everybody would expect us to be favourites going into the game. However, it's Real Madrid. They have a quality squad. They've got a lot of internationals, and they did score against us and draw with us in the reverse fixture. So we know what we have to do, and I always say to our players, let's focus on that and put all our energy into making sure the performance is as good as it can be.
Lauren Moore will be at the bridge for us tonight. Evening, Lauren.
Evening, hello.
What can we expect from tonight's game?
Well, as kind of mentioned, it's getting towards the business end of the 6 group stage games now, I'd say, in the Women's Champions League. England's only representative in the competition, Chelsea, currently sit top of Group D, and a win tonight for them will guarantee qualification to the knockout stages. They are playing here this evening at Stamford Bridge, as you can probably hear, against Real Madrid, who can no longer qualify for those knockout stages as they sit last in the Group D table with just 1 point after 3 losses and a draw in their past 4 games. They'll be playing tonight for pride, but are unlikely to cause too much trouble for Emma Hayes' side, who are fresh from a 3-1 win over Manchester United. And they've won 11 of their last 16 games, and they sit atop of the WSL table. Chelsea are missing top striker Sam Kerr until the end of the season, but Lauren James proves she is a worthy replacement with that hat-trick against Manchester United on Sunday. And of course, it wouldn't be right not to mention that last time these two teams met in Group D, it finished 2-2, riddled with controversy, as you mentioned a little bit earlier. It was a dodgy penalty call for Real Madrid, and then a late Niamh Charles goal for Chelsea, chalked off wrongly for offside. And I've just recently had team news come in. Of course, no Sam Kerr, as mentioned earlier. She's out injured for the remainder of the season. Erin Cuthbert takes the captain's armband tonight. It's also a Champions League debut for goalkeeper Hannah Hampton. 2 changes for Chelsea since last time out against Manchester United. Fran Kirby and Jess Carter start over Natalie Bjorn and Lauren James. Real Madrid have made 7 changes since their last game, which was a Super Cup 4-0 loss against Barcelona.
And just looking back at a really emotional week for Emma Hayes, Lauren, this week. This trophy would mean everything to her.
Yeah, I think it would, definitely. I mean, she got them as far as the final, of course. That's the furthest they've got with that loss against Barcelona. So I feel like this would kind of mean everything to her, sort of, especially as her last few weeks at Chelsea before she obviously heads off to front the USA Women.
Absolutely, Lauren, thank you for joining us. We'll be back at Stamford Bridge as the night progresses. We are here, though, for the main event of the evening. Fulham taking on Liverpool in the semi-final second leg of the League Cup, with a place at Wembley up for grabs. Bernd Leno and co are out to our right, going through their initial warm-ups, just to a gentle smattering of applause from fans taking up their positions in the Hammersmith end and the lower reaches of the Johnny Haynes stand. Over on the far side, a few flags being waved in the wings of the Riverside stand. The centre section not open yet, to the frustration of some Fulham supporters. Speaking of Fulham supporters, Nick Godwin has been out and about chatting with a few.
Well, first of all, how do you feel about the game today? It's an exciting semi-final. Reminds some Fulham fans of the big semi-finals of the past. What about you?
Yeah, it does, really. Really looking forward to tonight. It's going to be an SW6 derby at the end of Feb.
Do you think that the fact that Chelsea are waiting just gives it extra impetus?
Exactly, yeah. So I think that gives us really extra motivation to be there and then be champs.
And how do you feel about the game? Because Liverpool, obviously, very impressive. A lot of people outside this part of London are thinking Liverpool are going through. What do you make of that?
Yeah, we've been pushing them the last few games, really close games, lots of goals, quite exciting. So it's got to come our way sometime, and tonight's tonight.
Absolutely, you think this team are good enough to turn this around?
Definitely. Raul's going to get a couple.
Excellent. What about you, madam? What do you think? You think they're going to turn this round?
Yeah, they will.
You're pretty confident?
A bit. I think they can do it.
Do you think because this is the second leg at home gives you extra?
Fans will, and the fans and everything, the atmosphere will be fantastic.
How big a job do the fans have tonight, do you think, to make it? Because people say Craven Cottage isn't that intimidating, but I think it could be quite intimidating tonight.
Yeah, you got the Hammersmith and the fans, the ultras, they're amazing.
Do you think the fans are going to have a role to play today to make this a real cauldron?
Exactly, yeah. We've all got our songs ready and we're going to be cheering for the team.
Any particular songs you got lined up?
I better not sing.
So fair enough.
We haven't reached the watershed yet.
I see. Those sort of songs. Excellent. Well, enjoy the game. Thank you both very much indeed.
Emma Jones, the Ultras will be out in force tonight.
Yeah, I'm not... Well, I'm going back to the Waitrose Warriors.
Waving some baked delights around in the air.
Absolutely.
No, they can make some noise in that Hammersmith end, can't they?
They can make some noise.
It's just about joining it up, I feel, sometimes, because the Johnny Haynes doesn't often do what the Hammersmith does, and the Hammersmith doesn't often do what the rest of the ground does.
No, and you made the point about this lovely new stand opposite us and all the controversy about the ticket prices for it.
And the fact it's not open fully.
Yeah, yeah.
What is going on?
I'm not sure, because what I've heard is kind of Chinese whispers, so I wouldn't want to say it out loud.
It looks nice though, doesn't it?
It does, but I believe there is still some work to be done behind those lovely seats, which is what the delay is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the main contractor going into administration had a bit of an issue as well. But the lights are beaming down from the Riverside stand, which is humongous. It completely dwarfs all other structures at this beautiful football ground. Let's push on and hear what's been going on over at the Select Car Leasing Stadium. Emily Herbert is watching Reading versus Arsenal in the Conti Cup. Emily.
Yeah, it's 0-0, 19 minutes in. Reading really yet to see the ball, really. Marnham with the biggest chance of the game, rushed in from Bethmead from the right, just needed a tap in but scuffs it, and Annette is able to collect. Reading hold the defending champions off at the minute. It had just hit the 16th minute, which saw both Reading and Arsenal fans clapping at the SCL Stadium tonight, showing support for the ownership problems occurring at Reading at the minute. Sail Before We Die ringing around the stadium. But as it stands, it's Reading 0, Arsenal 0.
Emily, thank you. Let's just head back to base, and I just wanted to pick up on the Emma Hayes story this week. A really emotional week for her, Lucy, winning at the FWA.
Oh, if you haven't seen her speech yet, I mean, it did go viral on social media, and rightly so, because it was absolutely fantastic and captivating. She is she's an amazing woman. I think we all love her.
Very engaging, isn't she?
Oh,
she talks and you listen.
Like, she is who I want to be when I grow up. Or she's, you want her to be your mum, or you want her to be your sister. She's just amazing. She started her funeral, she started her speech.
Sorry, her what?
She started her speech with a swear word, and I hope my funeral's as good as this. So she captivated the audience immediately. And yeah, there were some great quotes from the speech. I picked a couple of them out. One of them was, she said, "When I was growing up and aspiring to play an FA Cup final at Wembley for Tottenham and being Glenn Hoddle, now scores of young girls and boys are thinking about how amazing Millie Bright or Sam Kerr is. I think those are the moments I pinch myself about more than I do the achievements." And I think that just sums it up, like how integral she's been in just bringing women's sport and women's football into the forefront. I think, like, she's been such a champion and such a guiding voice and a guiding light when for a long time people kind of banging their heads against a locked door because it just didn't feel like there was the space for women's football to really sort of be celebrated. And she's been just absolutely integral in making sure that those barriers are torn down. And you think about kind of the explosion of interest, particularly since the Women's Euros success a couple of years ago, and obviously the Women's World Cup Down Under was a huge success with record-breaking numbers of viewers and listeners and people engaging with that tournament. And I do feel like Emma Hayes has just been kind of synonymous with everything good that has gone on in the women's game. And obviously not just for Chelsea, but I think for the WSL and for football in this country, it is devastating to lose her because she's such a big character. She's such a good proponent and a good champion of everything that's right with the development of the women's game. So yeah, it's going to be absolutely huge to lose her.
Emma Jones alongside us. She's our match commentator for this evening's game. Emma, I know you do a lot of work in the WSL. I've often coined it that it's Emma Hayes' league and we're just playing in it.
Yeah, oh yeah. And as Lucy was saying there, you just know that she would be the best friend to have, and she's been a brilliant manager, and it does look as if they're going to be heading towards another WSL title. I think, though, it is going to be winning the Champions League. That would be an amazing achievement for her if she could do that in her last season as the Chelsea manager. Then that would be extraordinary. And what a job she's going off to do. Have you watched the documentary? I think it's either on Amazon or Netflix, about the American team at the last World Cup, and obviously how they failed, essentially. Yeah, I mean, if anybody can take on that job, it's going to be Emma Hayes.
It is indeed, as Fulham make their way out onto the surface here at Craven Cottage, led up by Tom Kearney, and then make their way over towards the Hammersmith end, where their fans will just congregate. Liverpool already out and about, engaging in their warm-ups, but Fulham are on the pitch. You just see Jurgen Klopp with a beaming smile on his face. And let's get a bit of an opposition preview to tonight's game. Ian Kennedy is a sports editor at BBC Radio Merseyside, our colleague from up in the northwest. Ian, good evening. Welcome to Craven Cottage.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Tell us about Liverpool coming into this one. No Salah, no problem is how I look at it.
Well, it seems to be at the moment, and not only Mo Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson, who's back on the bench tonight, but they've shown that they can cope without some of these really, really big name players. But it's a chance for others to step in and step up, and they have done. And, you know, Liverpool are competing on 4 fronts this season, and this is going to be the tricky little period to navigate through, but so far they look as though they're up to the task.
Tell me about the lineup tonight. When you got the lineup around 6:45 and you released it on air at 7, did you look immediately at that back two in defence, Jarell Quansah and Connor Bradley? I mean, Quansah's come in and looked excellent, but what will Fulham take from the lineup tonight?
Well, I think Marco Silva will be aware of the quality of Jarell Quansah, and we've seen it quite often this season when he has played against some big name strikers as well. He's a very, if you like, a typical Liverpool centre-back in the kind of Virgil van Dijk, Alan Hansen mould, although I wouldn't want to put too much pressure on him as a young player, although I've just done it. But he's that kind of player, he's that kind of quality. He's a ball-playing, very calm assured, and he's going to have somebody like Virgil van Dijk just talking him through the game anyway. And it just shows how much faith Jurgen Klopp has got in him, that in a second leg of a semi-final with Wembley at stake, he's quite happy to play him.
Ian, you've got Alan Hansen, we've got Steve Brown, and he's got no knees.
That's a hell of a comparison. That's
Really?
that's
It
the
is.
era I grew up in, and that's my King Kenny, you know.
Do you know what?
It's a hell of a comparison.
People have been talking about Jarell Quansah as one for the future. They're now talking about him as one of the now. He's that good, and I hope I'm not tempting fate, and, you know, from a Liverpool point of view, he plays well tonight, but there is absolutely no doubt in the quality that he's got now, and certainly the quality that he'll have in the future.
Is he the natural replacement for Joel Matip?
Well, I think long term, yes. Obviously, Konate is there as well, and I had a feeling that Ibrahima Konate might start tonight. But Liverpool have got another cup game to come on Sunday against Norwich, and they're having to play a lot of fixtures at the moment, and they have got a few injury concerns. So maybe Jurgen Klopp is just trying to to vary his squad and his personnel as much as possible with all these games coming up.
He's got to have something about him, because you don't put anybody into a semi-final that you need to win and go through. So that tells you, I think, how much they rate. You know, because that right side is young. Right side of centre half, right back.
Yeah, and Bradley on the other side. Obviously, there's no Trent Alexander-Arnold at the moment, but Bradley, as he came on against Arsenal, didn't he, in the cup, and he just slotted in perfectly. And I think he's another one that has got the quality. Obviously, his opportunities are going to be a little bit limited once Trent Alexander-Arnold comes back, but he'll be gaining so much experience now.
Tell us about Andrew Robertson. 13 weeks out, I believe. Is it 13 weeks out for Andrew Robertson?
Well, he's 13 weeks out, and there was a suggestion that he might actually start this game, but he's on the bench, and maybe it might be too soon just to throw him straight in. But I think if he does, obviously he's not starting tonight, he may start at the weekend. And Liverpool have, in a way, missed his experience, even though they're top of the league and and in 3 other cups as well. So you might argue that they've done quite well without him. But he is a player that they miss, his experience. He's one of the senior players there.
Ian, where are Liverpool going to win this tonight? Because obviously, look, they are 2-1 up from the first leg. Do you expect them to just see the job through?
Well, if Fulham score first, you know, it's game on, and the atmosphere is going to be quite something, I think, as well. The thing is, Liverpool have been here before. They know how to get through these kind of games, and they will always have the firepower to score a goal, which will obviously put the pressure on Fulham. If Liverpool score the first goal, then really Fulham are up against it. I mean, Fulham have got to win the game. You know, it's a draw's no good. They've got to win the game. And Liverpool are so good at picking teams off on the counter. You know, if Fulham get too ambitious and put a few too many players forward, that'll suit Liverpool down to the ground. And they've got the players there. Darwin Núñez is in a bit of form at the moment. On the bench, they've got Jota, if needs be, one of the best finishers in the Premier League. So the firepower is there. Cody Gakpo. I mean, if he scores tonight, Gakpo, he'll be the first Liverpool player ever to score in 5 successive League Cup games. So that just gives you an indication of maybe the job that Fulham have got here tonight in front of them.
And there's still that desire from Jurgen Klopp to win this trophy again.
Yeah, they take it seriously. I think a lot of teams do, actually. I think there's been a bit of a renaissance in the League Cup over the last few years. And Liverpool and Manchester City, for example, really try and win it. You know, Chelsea are in the final. So, yeah, and if you can win this trophy early in February, you've got... It sets you up for the rest of the season, gives you a lot of confidence going into the last few months of the season. That's what Liverpool will be trying to do.
Ian, thank you for joining us this evening here on the Home of London Football.
Thank you, pleasure.
Ian Kennedy, BBC Radio Merseyside, with us as we build up to full match commentary here in the League Cup. Fulham against Liverpool kicks off in 32 minutes' time. We will be refreshing the team news in a moment, but there's been a goal in the Conti Cup at the Select Car Leasing Stadium. Emily Herbert.
That has Arsenal take the lead, leading the Royals 1-0. Caitlin Ford breaking the line on the edge of the 6-yard box, easily able to slot it past the net. Arsenal don't need any goals tonight to qualify, but with almost a completely different squad to their WSL team, they're showing their squad depth, strength tonight. Reading 0, Arsenal 1.
Emily, thank you for the moment. Let's just take a look at the time. It's 7:28 here on the Home of London Football. Now, Fulham have the opportunity to make it to the League Cup final. For the first time ever, BBC Radio London's Andy Rowley has spoken to manager Marco Silva about just what a huge role the fans will play here this evening.
They are going to play a big part on it. Not just we need them really behind us. Some moments that we are going to be trying and to be playing well, other moments that probably Liverpool will make us to suffer. We need them always behind the team. You need them to try to make the Craven culture really difficult for Liverpool too. It's going to be a tough one. You know that in this type of games the crowd can make a big impact. We had this good example at Anfield the last 2 games we played there. We were playing so good, and in tough moments for Liverpool they were always there and they pushed the team forward, and this is what we need from our fans tomorrow, and I'm sure that they are going to play the game with us and they are going to play a big part on it.
Marco, they've obviously had a very strong defence. You mentioned how good their attack was, but the best defence really in the league. Yes. You have been able to score against them. How difficult is it to open them up? Obviously the goal in the first leg was brilliant, but you scored 3 in the league up there. How difficult is it, and how have you been working on that?
They have been solid, as you said. Of course, I mentioned how they are, that attack line, how they are really direct in some moments of the game. When you think that you have the game under control with short spaces to explore the offensive transition, counter-attack, they are really strong. But for you to be strong and to be the top of Premier League and to be in all the competitions so far, you have to be really solid as a team. And of course, I agree with you. The numbers are there; they are a fact. But you can see that they have been solid, even with some changes in the back line. The last few games, they have been playing slightly different, with not left back, really a proper left back, and all that stuff. But even so, they have been solid enough to control the games and not concede many goals. It's a good sign that we were able in 2 games to score 4 goals against them. It's a very good sign for us. At the same time, they scored against us as well, a good number of goals. The games they have been tight against them. Probably tomorrow is going to be the same. Let's hope we can achieve a different result next game than we did last 2 games.
And how much do you relish this as a challenge yourself to take on Liverpool, try and knock them out and reach Wembley?
No, for me, all the games, they are really a challenge one. I cannot hide to you because it's not the way I look for it. I said, if is one of the most important so far this season, if not the most important one, and we have to be realistic. And of course, we are going for it. We are going to challenge them. You are going to match them as more as you can. Everyone agrees that they have, since we saw the draw, they are the favourites. Everyone agrees in this, probably, that okay, Liverpool is going to be in the final. We have to try to write a different story and to put Fulham there, and we are going to fight really hard to achieve it.
And just finally from me, the players, are they aware that the fans will view them as legends if they can do something like this? Do they feel that kind of emotion amongst the fans?
No, among the fans, of course, and the players, they have been great. We, in terms of work ethic and commitment, attitude, ambition as well, I cannot say nothing more for them. They have been, I think, the last month is a good example for us under difficult circumstances for us in terms of absences and all that stuff, with 9 games in 1 month, and the players, in terms of work ethic and all that stuff, no one can say nothing more, and this is really their obligation, and they have to give always 100% for the shirt, and they have been doing that, of course. We hope that tomorrow they can have a good night. Our decisive players on the pitch, they can be with inspiration that game is going to demand from ourselves. This is another thing, the motivation, the individual quality. Some players, they pop up and step in that type of moments. Because in terms of commitment, attitude and desire to go, no one can say nothing about this group of players.
He wants commitment from his players, but he also wants the backing from the stands. Marco Silva, kick-off en route, just seeing the Fulham subs head over towards the Hammersmith end, led out by Tim Ream, over with his blonde bobble just bouncing away as he runs over in in towards the Riverside stand, not the Hammersmith end. Fulham just going through some drills, as are Liverpool. We'll be back with the team news. It's 7:33.
BBC Radio London.
Winter in London.
Overnight lows widely dipping to freezing or below.
There's a risk of widespread frost and a lot of standing water around after the rain over the last
The biting winds and slippery conditions.
Of course, the question on everyone's lips.
Will it snow or won't it?
Now everybody's talking about snow in London this week. Now at the moment...
Will my journey to work be affected?
So we've got hefty queues on my cam coming into town.
Severe delays on the Central Line. No Chiltern Railways.
Whatever happens.
Wrap up warm. We've got a bright start this morning.
But things changing all the time.
We're here so you know what's happening.
BBC Radio London.
BBC Radio London.
The home of London football.
We are 25 minutes away from kick-off under the lights here on the banks of the River Thames. This stately home of English football will see 2 sides going to war for a place at Wembley. It's Fulham against Liverpool. Emma Jones has the lineups.
I can tell you that Fulham make just 1 change from the side that started the first leg at Anfield, and that's Tom Cairney rather than Harrison Reed in midfield. There'll also be the captain, so Leno in goal, Robinson, Diop, Tossin and Castagna in defence, Paulinho and Cairney just behind Pereira in midfield, Willian and Bobby Deckles over Reed on the wings, Raul Jimenez up front. As for Liverpool, 3 changes for them from that 2-1 win at Anfield. Kelleher in goal, 2 20-year-olds in defence with Conor Bradley and Jarell Kwanzaa. Virgil van Dijk is their captain, Joe Gomez the other player in the back 4. Ryan Graffenberg, Alexis McAllister and the former Fulham player Harvey Elliott in midfield. And then it's Luis Diaz, Darwin Núñez and Cody Gakpo up front. Cody Gakpo, who has scored in every League Cup game so far for Liverpool this season.
Emma, thank you for that. Steve, the clock ticks down, and you've had a bit more of an in-depth look at the 11s. What do you make of both sides? We know Fulham have to go strong. They are limited in what they can do options-wise, but Marco Silva knows what's on the line here.
Well, they all do. Absolutely. They've got to start on the front foot. They've got to crank up the atmosphere, get the home fans on side as quick as they can, start at a high tempo. I'm just looking at the Liverpool side, and I know we were talking just about Kwanzaa and how much the Liverpool faithful
believe in his ability, and so much so they put him into a semi-final away at Fulham. That's how much they feel that he can cope with the situation. But that right side of centre half, right back, and even Gravenbach in the right midfield spot, all part of a three, 21, 20 and 20. I just feel like there's an inexperience there that could just leave the door open a little bit for Fulham to exploit. We'll see.
Are we hoping for one of those Darwin Núñez nights? You know what I mean? Where he's snatching at things where maybe passion and excitement and aggression just gets too much for him?
I think that's wishful thinking, because he's in very, very good form. I mean, he's assisting, he's scoring, but he does have that ability, doesn't he, to just not quite get it right on the night, scuffs a shot wide, loses concentration. So he has that in him, but we are seeing him in pretty good form at the moment, Aaron. And I think the reason Gakpo and Núñez have been put in that side, because if they do score first, that'll just knock the wind out of everyone's sails, the supporters, the Fulham players. It's a real uphill battle if Liverpool can get that goal and give them a 2-goal cushion.
Do you look at Harvey Elliott and just wonder if there's someone coming who's going to potentially come back to bite the hand that once fed him tonight?
There's always that. I played for a manager once that always played a player from the team that they got him from.
Who's that?
Steve Coppell.
Yeah.
So he would always put the player back in. So I give it Solako, went back to a team, played him.
Does it really make that big a difference?
No, I just think there's some managers have their little, their little
Isms.
quirky things that they have. Yeah. So like some managers will not change a winning side unless they're forced to. Regardless of the opposition. So they have little quirky things, little superstitions.
When I look at that Liverpool midfield, I look at someone like Alexis McAllister and just wonder if he's given the opportunity to pull the strings, there could be trouble.
Yeah, under the radar, that signing, £30 million. Unbelievable. Value for money. Quality player, World Cup winner, and a calming influence. I watched him a few times when he was at Brighton, and I think, they've done wonderful business, Brighton, haven't they, over the last few seasons, but 30 million.
Bargain.
Oh, just a bit, yeah.
How much would you be worth in this day and age?
Oh, a few peanuts and a button.
£8.50 on a good day. Let's stay in the Liverpool camp, and assistant manager Pep Linders says that Jurgen Klopp's squad have stepped up in the absence of big players like Mo Salah.
That's the sign of a good squad, and that's a sign of the character, and the passion and the ambition of the players we have, all of them. I really Jota is a player who, when he's in this angry mood, when he's in this mood where he wants to run against the world, where he wants to decide, he can do things which is incredible. And we have to get him in this mood as often as possible. But what really happy with how Darwin, Lucho, Diogo, Harvey, Cody, how they all step up in different moments. It's never that you can rely on simple. It was the same with Bobby, Mo and Sadio. When Mo didn't play well, Bobby played well. If Sadio and Mo didn't, Bobby was the one. If Sadio was not creating, Mo would score the goals. So what I'm trying to say is that's when you are drilled, if you are trained, if they are all committed, if they are confident, these things happen. So, yeah.
How important, though, is this competition for Liverpool in the grand scheme of things?
Playing finals is one of the most important things for a team to develop, winning them. Playing a semi-final in January is great in the season. Being able to reach Wembley, one of the most iconic stadiums in the world, is unbelievable. All these things have impact on development. It creates a squad as well. I said it 2 years ago when we play all 4 competitions till the end. It creates for all players a constant opportunity that maybe they're not playing now, but in 2 weeks they know that they're going to play, so they train in a different way. So that's really important. So overall, I like a lot if we play every 3 days. The more games we play, the better, because it means that everybody will be involved. You are reaching finals. What means development? More difficult games means more development. So yeah. It's important, and it gives opportunity. You know, we would not have seen all these players, these young ones, if you don't play in 4 competitions. You know.
That is the Liverpool assistant manager Pep Lijnders, and this is Emily Herbert, who's going to tell us about another goal at Reading.
It's Stina Blackstenius to double the Gunners' advantage. A blocked shot from Steph Catley from the right goalpost, and Blackstenius is able to pounce on it and tap it in. A bit of frustration midfield. Primus sticks a leg out on Palova and receives a yellow, but the Gunners in total control before the break. Reading 0, Arsenal 2.
Also, 8 o'clock kickoff tonight between Chelsea and Real Madrid. Steve Brown.
Yeah, just listening to Pep Lijnders there, I revalidate my A licence every 3 years, and Pep Lijnders does. He's on the course, delivering, and you can't believe you're on a course, you're revalidating an A licence, Pep Lijnders there, and he's doing a session that Liverpool use, and you're actually watching Pep Lijnders deliver things that he uses across the season to improve. And this was about 6 years ago, and he was showing everybody how Liverpool encourage teams to try and play through the lines inside, and they attack on the inside and win the ball back centrally. Fascinating, brilliant coach, great football mind.
Why do you revalidate your licence?
Say that again, Aaron.
Why do you revalidate your licence?
You have to revalidate every 3 years, otherwise you lose it. It's all about a bit of cash.
Oh, is that what you do it for?
Yeah, and I started off when I first revalidated back in 2010. There was about 60 coaches. There's going to be 300 and something this year.
Are you holding out for a job somewhere?
No, me? No. But once you lose it, you've got to retake the whole thing. And
No, but I thought you were holding out for a job potentially.
No, you're safe as houses on that one.
Potential club in SE17.
Oh, I'd love to help.
Would you?
I'd love to help.
If they approached you and said, look, I mean, what role would you take? Would you want to be some sort of consultant? What would you take?
I would love to be involved in the football club in a full-time capacity, yeah. I've made no secret of that, even on the streaming to people at the club.
Why won't they let you do it?
Don't know. That's not a question for me. I've asked. I'm still sat here doing this.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Not that I'm complaining.
Nothing wrong with that at all. 7:43 on the home of London football. Just the Fulham subs just going through the last of their warm-ups and heading back in towards the corner and towards the Cottage Pavilion to get ready for what is a big game here under the lights at Craven Cottage. Taking a look at the Hammersmith end to our right, that is filling up nicely. Loads of plastic flags available for supporters, plus the archetypal Fulham clapper as well. Elsewhere in the Women's Champions League, Häcken against Paris has finished 0-0, so that means if Chelsea win tonight, they will go through as group winners in Group D. Häcken versus Paris is all over at 0-0. Chelsea could win that Group D tonight. So we'll be with Laura Moore at Stamford Bridge for Chelsea versus Real Madrid. Emily Herbert is keeping across the Conti Cup between Reading and Arsenal tonight, as Ivan Berry just gives this massive, rousing speech, Emma Jones, over on the far side, giving a real sort of warm-up for supporters. Picks up a flag, and they're building for this. They're trying something. They just want everyone to get behind them. As John Murray said, this club doesn't get involved in semi-finals all that often.
I was going to say, this is a cup semi-final, so if there was ever a good excuse to get the flags and the clappers out, this is it.
Will this do it for you, Steve, as a player? If you are going into a cup semi-final of this magnitude, if you are a goal behind, are you looking at plastic flags and thinking, yeah, go on?
No, if I'm sat in a dressing room, and obviously I've never been over a two-leg in a semi, but I've been in a quarter-final against Man United chasing a game, and the thing is, once you start chasing and you know the opposition have got a lot of quality in their ranks, it's banging your head against a brick wall a little bit, and they're better.
Really?
They're better quality than you.
Are you not thinking it's a one-off game?
Oh no, you're trying to win, but you just know that in a blink of an eye, if the opposition with their quality turn it on, they've got to get one move right. At one instance, you're 2-0 down, and I've been there when you go 2 and 3 down, you know you're done. You know your goose is cooked.
Well, goose, very good.
You do.
Well, Steve, I wouldn't be going to you for some inspiration. Let me tell you that. I'd want someone to give it.
I'm half glass realistic. That's how I explain myself.
Half glass realistic.
Yeah.
Love that. Emily Herbert's got another goal for us. Emily.
Yeah, Arsenal get another. It's 3-0 against Reading. Another Stina Blackstenius from the right side of the box. A powerful low shot from the forward straight into the back of the net. 2 minutes to go until half-time. Reading 0, Arsenal 3.
Thank you, Emily. Half glass realistic.
Yeah. Everyone says it's half glass empty to me, and it's not. It's actually realistic.
Emma, do you want to rearrange your words for him?
I just like a full glass at all times.
Very rare.
If it's dropping below half, can somebody fill it up for me, please?
Oma Jones is full pint only.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No half pints here.
Yeah.
We don't mess around
with an umbrella in, please.
Absolutely. Now, Fulham stand on the verge of making history this evening with a first ever League Cup final appearance on the line. There have been some great days and nights at this famous old ground. Could this be another one?
Here's Murphy. To Camera. Here's Diamanski Camera. He's got sight of Joe Hart. Oh, and he scored a wonderful, wonderful goal for Fulham. And they're going to take all 3 points. And the great escape for Roy Hodgson's Fulham is definitely on.
Oh, it's Devlin. He's away. Can he settle it for Fulham? Eric Devlin has scored. It's 2-0. And Fulham spells survival in the Premier League.
Bullard with this free kick on the right-hand side. Bullard's ball in, headed by Danny Murphy! And that could be the goal that keeps Fulham in the Premier League!
But he has Gira carrying it on to the edge of the box. Johnson drives it across. Gira turns. Gira scores for Fulham! Manchester United are surely beaten here.
Fulham finishing the level 7th. Their highest ever top-flight finish. And also a place in the Europa competition.
Looks forward now. His initial intention was to go long. Instead he goes along the floor and it's turned by Gira to Zamora! What a goal! What a goal from Bobby Zamora! Absolutely stunning from the Fulham striker on the edge of the 18-yard box. He just turned on the ball and hammered it in off the underside of the bar. It was a rocket from Bobby Zamora. Fulham 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 1.
Scrambling there, Diego tries to get a shot away, forces Trezeguet, and Trezeguet's put it into the corner. It's the perfect start for Juventus. It's an appalling start for Fulham. Fulham still score. It makes life very interesting. In comes the cross. Zamora brings it down into the penalty. Here's a chance and a goal! Bobby Zamora has pulled one back for Fulham with 8 minutes played in the first half. He's played the ball into Zamora, who's turned it around the corner, and Davies is inside the box, turns it across goal, and it's in! Fulham have pulled another one back. Zoltan Gira from 3 yards, slotting home. Down the channel it goes to Gira. Lovely ball for Duff. Cross by Duff. Big shout for handball. Referee's given a penalty. Gira scores! Tuhu, who gives it to Dempsey on the edge of the box. Dempsey tries to turn. Oh, he's tried a little chip. Oh, I can't believe it! Fred Dempsey may well have just put Fulham into the quarterfinals of the Europa League. Something for Zamora, who's going to try and set this up for Damien Duff. 2-0. Still not away. Aguero still has possession though. 2 waiting for the cross. This comes in looking for Forlan. Back heel in! Oh, he's touched it in. That's amazing. Quite how he's done that, I cannot believe. But Forlan has tucked it in from a couple of yards, and with 4 minutes to go in extra time, Atletico Madrid are back in front.
Here comes Stoke, and he just wriggles it round the corner to Charlie Adam, and now Walters onside. He's got behind the Fulham back line into the penalty area, and he restores the 3-goal lead. Jonathan Walters. Fulham gave themselves a slim glimmer of hope. That has been well and truly snuffed out.
Never been relegated till today, so yeah, I feel very sad, and I have to apologise for not manage the situation.
Sessegnon pops up in his central position, skips over one tackle, feeds his forward, Kenny's onside! Kenny scores for Fulham! Rolling it underneath, Johnson, and what a moment that is for the Cottagers! And it's the captain, Tom Kearney!
Here's a driven effort, and it's 4-1 from Kiko Femenia. There were 2 spare players to the right-hand side of Watford's attack, and Andre Gray gets another assist.
I suppose I stand near. It's not so much even the relegation; it's just the way we've lost the game tonight.
Back it comes, and it's flicked into midfield, and Mitrovic, and it's a chance now for Fulham to win it, and they've won it with Joe Bryan galloping forward again. A second goal has been converted beyond David Raya, and Fulham are heading back into the Premier League after just 1 year of absence.
Vidra able to keep the ball in play. Areola stretches out. Oh, and then Burnley will turn it in. Westwood was there. Really, really scrappy, the goal from Burnley.
It has been looming, and I think the facts are we're relegated because we've fallen short.
Carvalho scampers into some space. He's motoring into the Millwall penalty. Cuts it back for Mitrovic, who scores.
But Wilson's going to get it. And Mitrovic has a hat-trick.
Comes back to Kenny, and Tom Kenny scores.
Chance goal for Fulham, and it's Neeskens Cabano against Sisovic is there, and that's the 7th. Fulham in heaven.
Comes to Cabano, and that makes it 6.
Robinson, 6-2. They've done it again.
Touches it from Mitrovic. Is it 7?
Yeah! Caparazzo and Parker and get down. It's headed in by Carlos Vinicius.
Willian inside the penalty area. Checks back on his left foot. Bends it towards the ball corner and scores a brilliant goal.
Melia's made a mess of it again, and Andreas Pereira turns in from close range.
Across it goes. It's going to be an own goal. It's an own goal. Turned into the net inside the 6-yard box. The congratulations will go to Tom Kearney.
Comes across to Wilson, and then the shot from the edge of the penalty area is in. It's Alex Iwobi.
Plays the ball to Kenny. This to win it. This to take Fulham into the League Cup semi-finals, and he does. Toss in, strikes past Jordan Pickford, and it will be Fulham who head towards the League Cup semi-finals.
What a score! Conquest, Bill Conti, one of the tracks they played before kickoff here at Fulham, as thousands upon thousands of white and black flags are raised into the night sky here on the banks of the River Thames, and the atmosphere just goes up just that little bit higher. I'll tell you what, Emma, to quote a very famous song, in regards to this football club, we've come a long, long way together, haven't we? You think about it, full circle, Roy Hodgson, the great escape, all the way to Europe, and that heartbreak against Atletico, and then all through the Jokanovic eras, and back into the Premier League, and potentially one win away from Wembley.
It feels like another Juventus night, doesn't it? Perhaps here on the banks of the River Thames. Let's hope that's the case.
Wow, Steve Brown, just look at these scenes, unbelievable. These flags just being flown around us ahead of kickoff, which is just minutes away on the banks of the River Thames.
Yeah, and I think if you're walking out that tunnel as a Fulham player, that the hairs on the back of the neck are going to stand up for sure, and you've got to make the most of what they're doing here. It's a really good effort in terms of what they're trying to crank up. I don't think it's going to intimidate the Liverpool players. As we heard John Murray say earlier, they've been here before multiple times. They know how to win this game, but this is going to fire up the home players for sure. You've got to utilise it. You've got to start quick, at a high tempo, push Liverpool back, and get this place rocking in the first 10 minutes.
Emma, are the goosebumps going for you as a Fulham fan? Forget as a commentator. Are the goosebumps there?
I mean, this is all helping. All this build-up is helping. I'm looking forward to the game getting underway now.
We are minutes away from kickoff here on the home of London football. And you see the Liverpool fans just in the corner, and it looks like they're doing nothing, Steve. If you look at them, they look silent because the flags are just being waved around us. The Hammersmith end to our right is completely full and adorned in a sea of black and white, the black and white of Fulham, as the subs just head over and make the long walk over to the Riverside stand, and the music pumps out around Craven Cottage. This really is a stately home of English football. This is a proper football ground for a place in a proper football competition. Virgil van Dijk with the 1,000-mile stare, he's given a little handshake, but there is Tom Kearney as well. And here they come, to pure adulation on the banks of the River Thames. Fulham against Liverpool, and Fulham have a job to do once again. And the noise just goes up a level here on the home of London football. We can't promise you many things here. We promise you a decent commentary. We promise you plenty and plenty of analysis, and we promise you action. We promise you and we guarantee you action from tonight's game, because Craven Cottage is alive as the flames light up over the far side of the Riverside stand and the flags whirl in the air. SW6 is ready for an occasion tonight. It's Fulham against Liverpool for a place at Wembley in the League Cup final. One thing left to say from me: come on, Fulham. Here's your match commentary team: Steve Brown, and first, Emma Jones.
So here we go. The talking is almost over. The fireworks are blazing up into the West London sky. The flags being waved to my left and my right in the black and white of Fulham. The home fans are trying to play their part in cheering their side to a League Cup final. Fulham are in unfamiliar territory. Well, Liverpool have been there and they've done it. That is the difference between these two sides as they meet here this evening, knowing that they could be just 90 minutes away from a trip to Wembley and possibly a chance to lift the first piece of silverware of this season. Chelsea, of course, await the winners after their emphatic victory over the two legs against Middlesbrough. But will it be the Fulham team in their white and black kit setting up a West London final, or will it be Liverpool who meet Chelsea next month in that League Cup final at Wembley? Jurgen Klopp's side coming here with a 2-1 lead after the first leg. Fulham had actually taken the lead at Anfield on the 10th of January through Willian, but Darwin Núñez and Cody Gakpo both came off the bench. Curtis Jones scoring the equaliser, Gakpo getting the winner at Anfield. It means that he has scored in every single Liverpool League Cup fixture so far this season. Marco Silva said the home fans could make a difference this evening. Fulham as a club have tried their best to ensure that that is the case tonight. They're going to make noise without the clappers, without the flags, without the fireworks. That's because they know that they could be cheering their side to another cup final. 1975, the FA Cup final against West Ham. Of course, have played in a European final since then when they were beaten by Atletico Madrid. Can they secure a spot at Wembley next month? It is Liverpool who stand between them and a spot in that final, and it will be a former Fulham player that gets this second leg underway. It is Harvey Elliott who is standing over the ball on the centre spot. The Fulham side in their black and white will be kicking from right to left in this first half. Liverpool in their all-red home kit kicking from left to right, and Harvey Elliott gets us underway. So it is Leno in goal for Fulham. Anthony Robinson, Issa Diop, Tosin and Thomas Castagna in defence. João Paulinho and Tom Kearney, the captain in midfield behind Andreas Pereira. Willian and Bobby Decordova-Reid on the wings. Raul Jimenez up front. Kelleher in goal for Liverpool. Young Connor Bradley and Jarell Kwanzaa among the defenders. Virgil van Dijk, the captain, and Joe Gomez making up the back four. Then it's Ryan Graffenberg, Alexis McAllister and Harvey Elliott, Luis Diaz, Darwin Núñez and Cody Gakpo. Liverpool coming here, top of the Premier League at the moment as well. Marco Silva's side know that they have a big task ahead of them, and they face a very early free kick here. The boos that ring out are because Harvey Elliott is standing behind it. It's the left-footed delivery. It skims off a Liverpool head and it goes wide of Leno in the Fulham goal. Into the second minute here. As I say, all the build-up complete now, Steve Brown. This is just about these two teams and a place at Wembley.
Absolutely, and they've done very well cranking up the atmosphere, Fulham. How do you stop that if you're Liverpool? Do exactly what they've done. Get on the front foot, win a free kick, threaten the Fulham goal. Diaz winning the ball into the box, couldn't make good enough contact, ball drifted wide. But it's a good start from Liverpool as it just starts to quieten down for the first time.
Well, Fulham took the lead at Anfield in the first leg of this League Cup semi-final. They also, just to remind you, had a 3-2 lead there in the Premier League. Liverpool won that match 4-3 in the end. Fulham were 3-2 up with 10 minutes to go, Steve. They were going to be the first team to win at Anfield in quite some time. Here it's with Grafenberg. Positive play from Liverpool, who get the ball into the Fulham 18-yard box. Looking for a cross from the left wing. Ball pulled back into midfield. It's then crossed from left to right. Robinson manages to make the contact. Comes down and Harvey Elliott attempts to turn and shot with his left boot. The cheers will tell you that he largely made contact with the air rather than the football. And then it drops back to Leno as well. I've got to say, I saw Harvey Elliott make his Fulham debut in a League Cup game, a win away against Millwall, and he had to go to school the next day, Steve. And I think he'd had to do some homework. Brilliant. I think he's studying for his exams or something, and I sort of joked with Jokanovic, who was the manager then, I suppose he's got to go to school tomorrow, and he said, yeah. He's got his GCSEs to study for. Yeah, well, he just needs to settle into this one. He's had a couple of early touches that he's been jeered off, but by the home fans, and they've not quite come off what he's tried, but he's working hard and he just needs to settle down. But very impressed so far with the right-back Conor Bradley for Liverpool. Great pass early on into midfield to Gravenberch, who turned and put Fulham under pressure. They haven't quite got going as an attacking side yet, Fulham, on the back foot. Yeah, number 84, Conor Bradley, so that will give you some idea as to how young he is. Actually made his full Premier League debut in the recent win against Bournemouth. He's got Jarell Kwanzaa alongside him, another 20-year-old who made his full Premier League debut in September. He's got 78 on the back of his shirt, but I've seen him described more than once as being phenomenal. Yeah. Which is a pretty impressive adjective to describe a player. He's just tried an extremely ambitious 70-yard diagonal to Luis Diaz from right-sided centre-half. He's hooked it a little bit and it's gone out of play, but that gives you an idea of where he's sat mentally. Comfortable, he's looked good in possession so far. So I thought the occasion might just put him on the back foot, walking out to that atmosphere. It hasn't done. They started very calmly, the pair of them. I think he was described as Alan Hansen-esque, wasn't he? By
which is a big
BBC
statement.
Radio Merseyside's commentator. If he did anything like that, and he can achieve anything like what Alan Hansen achieved in a Liverpool shirt, then that will be very impressive. It's with Bradley, who we're talking about, who's high on Liverpool's right. His cross bounces past Nunez and out of play. Maybe, hopefully, Steve Brown, we've sprinkled a little bit of commentator's curse on those two defenders, because as we've been talking about both of them, they've both not been great with the balls that they've supplied. Yeah, but the fact, that was a tricky cross to try, technically to try and get it. It was a half volley on the run with pace, and it just got overhit. But yeah, they don't know overall. But this is the first time I think we're going to see him put under pressure defensively, and that's where I think they may come under pressure. In possession of the ball going forward, they look really comfortable. Would like to see Fulham get them on the back foot and 1v1, and we might see a different story. I thought you were going to say, Steve, this is the first time we're going to see the ball in the Liverpool half. Well, they lost possession, sadly. Yeah. But this is exactly what Liverpool need to do, and I think that man on the ball now, Virgil van Dijk, is going to be crucial in terms of the experience and the calming influence on those two players that we've been talking about next to him, Kwanzaa, and at right back Bradley. He's admitted, Virgil van Dijk, that he did not have a good season last season. I think seen as a player who's having a considerably better season. in 2023-24. And the ball is with Núñez. Now he's not having a bad season for Liverpool either. Drives it onto his right boots, and Leno drops down to stop the shots at his near post.
Yeah.
They're going to be busy, aren't they, Fulham defensively, and Leno tonight. And I mean, I haven't looked at the stats from the early stages yet, but I'm thinking this is probably 75-ish possession for Liverpool, and they're in their attacking third.
It feels that way, and it's the slickness of how they're going through the units and getting the ball into midfielders and out wide. Diaz has taken possession a couple of times. Núñez there in the left sort of wide spot, cutting inside on his right. Shot deflected, took the sting out of it. Easy save in the end. But Fulham just, here we go. I was just saying, Fulham just can't get going, but here we get a crossfield ball to Reed.
Bobby Decordova-Reid. Decordova-Reid plays it into Pereira, gets it back to Decordova-Reid. And it's Kelleher now who has to make a stop. And it's the first corner of the game for Fulham.
Yeah.
And the home fans are encouraged by that move, Steve, understandably.
Yeah, and it's Castagna, who I quite like. He was excellent against Arsenal as well, breaking down that right-hand side. Loves to get forward. Cross, nearly caught out Kelleher at his near post, but he turns it round for the corner.
So it does mean a corner, which Pereira will stand behind. First set piece for the home side. It's a right-footed outswinger. Oh, and it's Paulinho who managed to make contact with his right boot. He puts his head in his hands because he feels that he should have at least have hit the target. If he had and had scored a goal, he would have run round the whole of Craven Cottage, whipped off his shirt in celebration. He would have got a yellow card, but Fulham would have had the lead. But a corner that found a Fulham player in Paulinho, and you know, he had to sort of lift his right boot quite high to try and make contact with that, Steve. But Fulham with a couple of chances, 8 minutes on the clock, goalless here in the second leg of this League Cup semi-final. Liverpool leading 2-1 after the first leg. Just to remind you, away goals do not count. So if Fulham get one goal, that does not mean that they are through on away goals. And if it is all square after 90 minutes, then we will have extra time. It won't go straight to penalty. So that's only the case in the semi-finals and the final of this competition. Also, no VAR here this evening. That's because Middlesbrough were one of the 4 semi-finalists, and because the Championship side didn't have VAR in their home leg against Chelsea, it means no VAR at all. But I believe there will be VAR at Wembley in the final. So hopefully I've made that just as muddy as I possibly could, Steve.
Yeah, Castagna there just trying to feed a ball through to Jimenez. He made a great early run. Ball wasn't played, he checked his run, and then the ball was played. And actually, if it had gone first time, Jimenez had made a great run off the shoulder of Virgil van Dijk. If I was Jimenez, I might come across on the younger centre-half and try and play off his shoulder. But fair play, trying to go toe-to-toe with Van Dijk on that far side. But Fulham, and that last corner, I tell you what Liverpool won't like, and it was Jurgen Klopp, a free shot, 8 yards out. Nobody marking Paulinho. Yeah, not acceptable in a semi-final. Needs to sharpen up from set pieces.
Ball forward to Núñez. One back by Paulinho. Quick pass from Pereira to Kearney, who's aware that Willian's breaking down the left-hand side. Robinson on the overlap. Robinson with a decent cross. Kelleher stretches out to get a glove on that. And Fulham, I tell you what, they really can go up a gear when they want to, Steve, can't they?
But that's what I was talking about the young defenders in the right-sided centre-half spot, right-back spot. Ganged up, 2v1. Excellent overlap from Robinson. Willian's experience, waited for the run. Great ball into the box. Kelleher with a super touch to just knock the ball out of Decordova's way, and it was beyond Pereira as well, who made a decent run around the back, but that was a brilliant move down the left-hand side for Fulham.
Few Liverpool fans slightly unsure about Kelleher as a goalkeeper. Obviously, he's been the League Cup keeper so far, the Irish international. Alisson is the player who is preferred in the league. But Fulham are now doing some attacking. Paulinho's shot that went wide, that cross from Robinson that Kelleher had to get a glove to. And now the referee is calling play back. It's Simon Hooper, by the way, who's in charge this evening. And it's Luis Diaz who's hobbling away. The free kick awarded to Liverpool. Chance to see that cross from Anthony Robinson, who has now collected the ball in his left-back position. clears it up the pitch, and it's Virgil van Dijk to turn and roll it up to Kwanzaa to his right-hand side. He now tries another one of those long passes from right to left. This time it comes off. This is an opportunity, and it goes in, and Liverpool have the lead. It was a lovely cross from right to left. The strike past Bert Leno, and with 12 minutes on the clock, it is Fulham 0, Liverpool 1. Well, we saw him try one of those crosses earlier in this first half. That didn't pay off, but you could see exactly what he was doing there. The young defender pinged it out to Luis Diaz on the left wing. He gets away from Castagna, and even though Leno was there, it dropped under his body, Steve Brown, and in. 1-0 to Liverpool, 3-1 they lead on aggregates.
Yeah, the actual diagonal was a decent pass, but it's falling short, and Diaz does ever so well to rise above Castagna, who gets caught underneath the ball. He chests it in front of himself, Diaz, and then cuts him from the left side onto his right foot, which opens up the far post. But he doesn't catch the shot cleanly. He bobbles it into the ground, and it goes inside Leno at his near post. And when he sees the replays, I didn't quite know how to crept past him into the back of the net. I thought it took a deflection. I can't see that deflection on the replay. And Leno's going to be really, really disappointed in himself that that's got underneath his right hand and into the back of the net. But this is what I mean about bursting bubbles. You have that build-up, the atmosphere's cracking, and then Liverpool go and get their first goal and just burst that bubble and have got that 2-goal advantage that they would have desperately wanted.
Big smiles from Jurgen Klopp. Marco Silva isn't happy with something. Well, I can tell you he's not happy with the fact that his team have conceded an early goal here, and there is a flare on the pitch, and I'm expecting I'm expecting a steward with, you know, a bucket of sand or something to come on and collect that. I don't know why there's a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, they're either waiting for that or they're letting it blow out. Here he comes now, look.
So the bucket is on to lift this flare off the pitch, and I had a slight voice in my ear during that, Steve, which I didn't quite hear clearly. So I'll tell you what, while this is happening, let's find out how Chelsea are doing in their Champions League game against Real Madrid at Stamford Bridge. Lauren Moore.
It's Chelsea 0, Real Madrid 0. It's all been Chelsea here so far. A big chance just now. The ball fell to Niamh Charles, who set up a lovely ball for Guro Wrighton, which was saved by the goalkeeper. It remains Chelsea 0, Real Madrid 0.
And Arsenal, meanwhile, are in League Cup action this evening. Arsenal's women, and they've scored yet another goal, Emily.
They have. Arsenal get a fourth. It's Lara Cadino with her first goal for the club with a beautiful header from a Steph Catley corner. Comes in from the left and positions herself brilliantly to swivel her head towards the goal. Reading 0, Arsenal 4.
So, Steve, you were saying before kick-off what Fulham needed to do, I mean, to state the obvious, was to get an early goal here. What they've done is conceded an early goal.
Yeah, I just wanted to see him on the front foot creating chances, and in all fairness, they had. You know, Keller had made a save low down to his left at the near post. That free volley for Paulini, which was a gilt-edged opportunity put over from not too far out, were a couple of great opportunities. But this Liverpool team can do this year from back to front quickly, and they've got threats right across the front that can damage. But I still think that's a really poor attempt at the save from Leno. Will be absolutely gutted that that's beaten him. But I think Silva will be complaining about the challenge from Diaz on Castagna. I think that's why you're saying he looks a bit aggressive on the sidelines. I think they probably want a foul for that. I didn't see one, but you know, they sort of clutch at everything these days, don't they, if there's something in the build-up.
Ball with Robinson. Robinson holds it up wide on Fulham's left-hand side. Will be turned back by Bradley. Now it's collected by McAllister, a World Cup winner.
And looking very, very composed. The one thing you can do if you're Liverpool, you can play a couple of youngsters in positions around, very experienced, good players. McAllister's holding the centre of the pitch, Virgil van Dijk the centre of the pitch at centre half, and that allows you to have these youngsters who are a little bit inexperienced either side, because they're very calm in influence, in possession, and in terms of their thought processes, and they'll pass that on to these young players around them. But I'd still like to see Fulham, if they can, sort of get down this left-hand side a bit more, where I think defensively Liverpool are a little bit vulnerable.
McAllister plays the ball forward to Grafenberg, comes out to Elliott, who manages to skip away from Robinson. Then it's picked up by Gakpo. Comes back into midfield and McAllister again. Bradley out on the right-hand side. Now with Elliott into the 18-yard box. Cuts it to the edge of the 6-yard box. Plenty of Fulham players there are able to take it away again. Bradley, who's high up from the back, trying to get the cross in to Gakpo. Tom Kearney was between the two of them, and Kearney is fouled. It'll be a free kick for Issa Diop to take in the Fulham defence. 17 minutes on the clock. BBC Radio London on digital on a Wednesday evening. It is Fulham 0, Liverpool 1 on the night through Luis Diaz. That means that Liverpool lead 3-1 on aggregate in this League Cup semi-final. Comes to Robinson, infield to Paulinho. Paulinho, edge of the centre circle. I don't know if he even looked up actually before he launched that ball forward. I think Decordova-Reid might have been the intended player he was looking for. Instead, it's straight at Kelleher, who's in green to our left-hand side. He's got those Liverpool fans behind him in the Putney Bridge end. It looks absolutely packed, actually, the Liverpool section of the ground here, the away section.
They were never not going to feel that, Emma, to be brutally honest. You know, semi-final, leading from the first leg, that was always going to be full. But they're slick going forward, Liverpool. I'm impressed so far in terms of how they can keep possession across the back. 2 quick passes into McAllister out the other side. And they get it to this front three who are very, very good. And it's supported very, very well with great movement from the midfield.
Ball out to Nunez on the right-hand side. Comes into central midfield, McAllister. Back out to Bradley this time, who connects on the right wing. Then rolls back to Kwanzaa on halfway. Van Dijk almost on the centre spot. Takes a couple of steps forward and then plays the ball out to the goal scorer Diaz. Pulled back to Gomez. And now Liverpool with that lead and comfortable to just hold on to possession at the moment inside the Fulham half of the pitch. Kwanzaa out to Elliott. Elliott back in field to McAllister. Liverpool have lost 3 games in all competitions for the whole of this season.
Yeah.
One of those in the Premier League, one of those in Europe when they knew they'd already qualified. This is what Fulham are up against.
Yeah, and as we heard, they're still very much in a building phase, you know, but they're impressive. You know, it's the fullbacks, one inverts, one goes wide and high, which overloads the midfield. There's superb rotation and movement, and the coordination of that movement is absolutely outstanding. It's why they're so slick.
Ball with Bradley, Robinson in his way. Comes infield to
If you look now,
Elliott.
Emma, Gomez inverted, playing centre midfield, you know, right back out wide, and he receives out wide and drives inside. You know, their coordination and understanding of what their roles within the team are at any given stage as the ball moves is very, very good.
Now with Kwanzaa, he's in central midfield at the moment, out to control from first the knee and then the boots of Diaz. Tosin just clears it back to the halfway line, over the head of Raul Jimenez, with Van Dijk out to the bright pink boots of Gakpo, and then all the way back to Kwanzaa. Yes, I mean, it's interesting you're talking about the way that Liverpool players move around, because obviously we've seen with Alexander-Arnold, who's injured for Liverpool at the moment, the kind of different positions he's been able to play on a pitch for Jurgen Klopp's side. As here it comes forward, it's Nunez who makes contact with his head, and I think he was rather hoping that Grafenberg might get on to the end of that, very close to the Fulham goal, but it watches it go out for a goal kick in the end. But again, this was a long ball forward. Nunez gets his head to it. Grafenberg up from the back, can't make the contact to test Ledo, and it will go out for a goal kick. We've played 20 minutes. Fulham 0, Liverpool 1. Ball with McAllister, who's in long sleeves and gloves this evening, but I have to say it's a very pleasant Wednesday night.
It's actually quite warm, quite mild. I was absolutely frozen at a game on Saturday, but tonight's quite mild.
Comes out to Robinson to take away from Bradley. Now Willian finds Kearney. The Fulham captain will turn it back to Diop, who gives it to his goalkeeper, former Arsenal man. Comes out to toss in again, given to Leno, and this time he'll ping it up to Jimenez on halfway. He loses the ball to McAllister. McAllister quickly forward to Nunez, but well, the referee's assistant said he was offside, but well, Castagna got the touch first, so. But nevertheless, the Liverpool player offside. Scored a couple of goals against Bournemouth in the last league game. I think he's come in for some criticism, hasn't he, Darwin Núñez? But I think he was being directly compared to Haaland, which is slightly unfair.
Yeah, I think the price tag he came with and what he delivered in the first few months sort of saw him under a little bit of criticism, but he's assisting and scoring goals at the moment. He's in very good form. He should have actually hit the target with that long ball through from Van Dijk. I don't know why he elected to head it across goal. He was only 16 yards out, no defender in his way. Should have perhaps taken a touch, if anything, rather than head it first time.
This Liverpool side have won their last 5 matches in all competitions. 48 points at the top of the Premier League table. Ahead of their trip here, that 4-0 victory against Bournemouth on Sunday. Fulham's most recent game was a 1-0 defeat at Chelsea. Cole Palmer with the only goal of that game. Their last games here, though, a victory against Rotherham, the FA Cup. Before that, a win against Arsenal that we watched in the league. So they can play. They can, but and beat good teams.
This performance from Liverpool so far is a million miles ahead of where Arsenal were on the day, who had a system, a way of playing, just couldn't execute. And Fulham was set up brilliantly behind the ball, and when they won it, they could penetrate through Arsenal's side and look dangerous. Since those couple of forays into the Liverpool final defensive third, they've struggled to get anything going, Fulham. So they've had those early couple of opportunities, but have tried to go long in the last couple of minutes just to turn the game from being played in their half into the Liverpool half. Haven't managed to retain possession and can't get anything going at the moment.
I suppose it's Raul Jimenez that they're looking
No, the
towards.
midfield's not linking. Listen, Jimenez up there on his own, so he can get quite isolated.
Yeah.
But you've got Deco, Overeed and Villian can't get in the game. Pereira, Kearney, Paulinho not linking up because predominantly, Emma, they're doing their defensive roles. And on the transition, when the turnover comes, Liverpool press incredibly quickly and well, and they just haven't found a way yet to get their passing game going, which is forcing them long like that, which Van Dijk's going to be favourite to win those headers all day against Jimenez.
3-1 Liverpool leads over the 2 semi-finals so far, having come from behind to lead the first leg 2-1. That Luis Diaz goal to make it 1-0 here. Leno comes out, and again the referee's flag is raised. Well, it was Gomez, Gakpo, wasn't it, who was at close range. And it's picked up by Leno. It was Elliott who was on a run, and I think as he tried to play it forward and as Leno raced out, the referee's assistant's flag is raised to say that Gakpo was just offside. And we've gone old school, just to remind you. No VAR, so we will be looking at the referee's assistants.
Well, then I think they would have got away with one, because I think the line's up.
I thought that was tight, yeah.
I thought that would have been on. And actually, Leno's got away with one anyway, because Gakpo giving it up, and Leno punched it onto the back of Gakpo, hit him on the back and went over the crossbar. It wouldn't have counted, as you said, anyway, but that was tight. That was tight, and if there was VAR, that
I think would have proved to us it was onside, but it was tight. What I would say about it is someone's got to get tight at Harvey Elliott when he's in possession like that. Can't allow the cross to come in that easy.
Fulham are on the attack. Haven't said that very often in this first half. 25 minutes on the clock, and again, it's with Willian and Robinson on Fulham's left-hand side. Goes out for a Fulham throw-in. Robinson quickly to Willian, who hooks it out to Decordova-Reid. It's Gomez who's able to thread it through the Fulham player into midfield, where play is stopped for a free kick that Gomez will take.
Yeah.
Former Charlton player, of course.
Yeah, back in the day, along with Konza, we had two come through in quick succession that went on to be sold quite quickly and have gone on to both play in the Premier League on a regular basis, one via Brentford up to Aston Villa. But yeah.
He's playing left back this evening. I was watching a recent interview with Jurgen Klopp. He's very keen to remind people of how many players Liverpool are missing at the moment.
Yeah.
No Mo Salah, of course, who has had to come back from African Cup of Nations duties with an injury. He's picked up with Egypt. As here it comes to Nunez. Well, he was offside again anyway. Diaz comes in, and the Liverpool fans are celebrating, but they weren't aware that the flag was already raised. It was an overhead kick from Nunez, but the flag was already up. Came back to Diaz, who thought he'd scored his second and Liverpool's second, but the cheers very quickly stopped. Still, though, it is 1-0 to Liverpool on the night, 3-1 on aggregates.
Yeah, and that one was offside, but it was a brilliant move. Nunez off the shoulder, Diaz with the ball through, which was audacious, but perfectly scooped over the top of a Fulham defence, but it held its line really well and caught Nunez offside. No question mark over that one. Correct decision.
I've got to say, we're sat in a slightly different commentary position this evening here at Craven Cottage, and I would say that the seats in front of us are the busiest for people coming and going.
Yeah, it's not very helpful.
No, every couple of minutes, everybody in front of us is standing up. I'm just thinking, what do you need to do? Just sit still. Ball here is with Kearney. Now Willian, slaloming forward, Willian finds Jimenez. Jimenez cuts it back. Van Dijk had to get his head to that, but another flag is raised. This time it's Raul Jimenez who's offside, Steve Brown.
Yeah, but it gets the crowd going. They're in the final third. Willian looks bright and lively in possession and looks like he could create if he gets half a yard, and that's what's excited the Fulham fans. Again, that one is tight. It's been given, no VAR, but that was a tight decision. Couple of Liverpool players centrally a little bit deeper than the right back, which may have played Jimenez onside, but it was very, very tight.
Raul Jimenez, of course, famously struggled for Premier League goals for a while. Last season, for Wolves, his only goals were in the League Cup. Scored 3 League Cup goals. Still has that protection on his head after fracturing his skull for Wolves in a game against Arsenal. It took him several months, unsurprisingly, to recover from that injury, but it is good to see him back scoring Premier League goals for Fulham. Not so great to see him get sent off against Newcastle, which meant Fulham then missed him for 3 subsequent games. But he has found his scoring boots again. Picked up by Willian in midfield. A little nibble on him by McAllister. Comes to Jimenez, who gets the cross into the 18-yard box. And it's taken away by Gakpo. Gakpo then gives it to Grafenberg. Grafenberg forward, low effort from Diaz. Well, he was hoping to do what he'd done already in this first half, Steve, and that was to almost play it under the body of Bert Leno. This time the Fulham goalkeeper will get to it. 30 minutes on the clock. BBC Radio London Sports. On digital, also through the BBC Sports app. And it's 1-0 to Liverpool here at the moment. They are heading towards a League Cup final against Chelsea. Let's find out how the Chelsea women are doing at Stamford Bridge this evening against Real Madrid in their Champions League game. Lauren Moore has an update.
30 minutes gone here. It's Chelsea 0, Real Madrid 0. A couple of huge saves from Chelsea's Hannah Hampton in goal and a couple of bold attempts on goal from Guro Reiten. But Real Madrid have been defending well. It's pretty even here at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 0, Real Madrid 0.
And we'll find out if Arsenal have added any more goals against Reading in their League Cup game. Emily Herbert has the details.
They haven't, but Arsenal still have the lead. It's Arsenal 4, Reading 0. Leah Williamson is on the pitch for the first time since last April, taking the captain's armband, met with a huge round of applause from both sets of fans here. They're going to still controlling the game, few shots off the post, but it remains Reading 0, Arsenal 4.
Thank you, Emily. That is big news to have Leah Williamson back. Yeah, great news to have her back. Of course, the captain for that European Championship winning side, and then the injury that meant that she couldn't be part of the England team that went to a World Cup. Learnt a bit of piano while she was out injured, but I think she'll be happier to be playing football again. I think.
Yeah, it's got to be easier, that's for sure.
Well, it depends. I think I'm better at the piano than I am at football, Steve. I'm not very good at the piano, by the way. The ball here is in midfield. It's with Kearney. Played forward to Willian. Now drops to the boots of Raul Jimenez. Pereira's offering support. Jimenez with the shot. Kelleher had to get a glove to that. And Liverpool make sure it doesn't go out for a corner either. They'll play it back up the other end. Nunes racing forward. Brilliant stop from Tosin. That has every Fulham fan in front of us standing on their feet. And Liverpool turned defence into attack. Nunes was in. That was almost 2-0 Liverpool.
Yeah, just seeing the replay of the Jimenez shot. It's going bottom corner. It's a good save from Keller. He pushes it out. Nobody's anticipated. It was Robertson high up on the left-hand side. Didn't anticipate and push on. Could have been a follow-up for him there if he had done. He didn't from that. And this is Fulham's problem. The pace at which Liverpool's counter-attack is frightening. But that tossing challenge was outstanding.
The problem is going to be, Steve, that while Fulham are trying to get themselves back into this game, they're going to leave themselves exposed to exactly that, aren't they?
They're at their most vulnerable, funny enough, Emma, when they're in the final, they're attacking third, because you have to commit, you have to gamble, you're chasing a game. And as you've just seen, Liverpool can turn that situation into an attack very, very quickly.
12 minutes to go before half-time. Anytime Harvey Elliott touches the ball, by the way, you will hear some boos.
Yeah, but he has settled into the game.
Yeah, he's more than happy to deal with it, isn't he?
He's looking very comfortable. Yeah.
Kwanzaa back to Kelleher. Raul Jimenez was in between the two Liverpool players. Couldn't quite take advantage. Comes out to Declan Dover-Reid. Paulinia finds Kearney to his left-hand side. Captain carries on racing forward. Holds up the ball to make sure it doesn't go across the line just to the right-hand side of the Liverpool goal. Now it comes back to Declan Dover-Reid, who's challenged by Luis Diaz. Free kick for Fulham just inside the Liverpool half, and it's Tosin who will come forward to take it. The player who scored the... Well, actually, I think, in fact, he'll leave it for Pereira here. I was slightly surprised that was going to be Tosin, but it will be Andreas Pereira, who is often preferred for these set pieces, who will wait behind this free kick. Wide on the right-hand side, 35 yards or so out from the Liverpool goal. Lots of players in the white and black of Fulham and the red of Liverpool just waiting inside the D. Pereira with the ball forward. It's Kwanzaa who got a sort of head and then shoulder to it to take it away, and it will roll out of play in front of the Riverside stand. Fulham clean to throw it back onto the pitch as quickly as possible. Here, Raul Jimenez is brought down inside the 18-yard box, and as one, the Fulham fans are shouting for a penalty. But I can tell you that Simon Hooper is unmoved. Comes to Willian. He has a left-footed strike on target. Kelleher's behind it. Should that have been a penalty, Steve Brown?
No, I don't think so on the initial play. We'll look at a replay, but I can understand why the Fulham fans went for that one. No, not for me. You needed to see a clear tug, an arm over the shoulder, pulling back or something like that. I'm not seeing enough contact there at all for that to be warranting a penalty. The reason the Fulham fans' noise has increased is because they're begging their team to press higher up and put this back line under pressure. They've done that in the last couple of minutes, had a little bit of success, got a couple of turnovers, and that's why the noise in here has increased. But it's easy to say you want your team to press, but they're up against a very strong outfit that can play through you. But they have had a little joy in the last couple of minutes with good steals.
Well, I'm going to suggest that Fulham have had more shots on target than Liverpool. Unfortunately, Liverpool are 1-0 up.
Yeah, the Paulinho chance is the one. If that finds the back of the net before Liverpool score, this place is the roof's going to lift off. The place is rocking. But yeah, they ideally, Emma, you need to see Fulham score before half time. You know, if we start going into the latter stages, they've got to start taking risks. Substitutions will be made, and it becomes a bit of a scattergun approach. If they can get something back before half time, so the deficit's only one, it can still be a controlled approach to try and get them back into the game.
Well, the last meeting here was actually right at the start of last season. Marco Silva's side back in the Premier League, and it finished in a 2-2 draw. I think it was a good indication of how Fulham were going to do and that they weren't going to be a yo-yo team yet again. Here it's Robinson with the cross and Declan Dover-Reid right in front of Kelleher, and a ball that spun up into the air. I thought it was almost going to drop onto the roof of the stand. It was so high into the floodlights. We've played 37 minutes. Liverpool leading here by 1-0 through Luis Diaz. That does mean at the moment they have a 2-goal cushion in this League Cup semi-final. Ball out to Pereira. It's now Castagna on the overlap, twisting and turning with Gomez. Both players almost end up off the pitch and in the advertising hoardings in front of those Liverpool fans. And Marco Silva is sat down next to Luis Boamorte, and I imagine he's just pondering what he's going to say to his team at half-time. As you say, that conversation completely changes, Steve Brown, if Fulham can make it all square before the break.
Yeah, I think he knows full well it would be, you know, an inspiring team talk to try and get something from his 10 outfielders to maybe try and steal the ball a little bit high. But he's fully aware that the longer this game goes on, the more risks they've got to take, the more exposed they'll be on a counter. You know, he doesn't need me to tell him that. But what I would say is they are getting a little bit of joy. I quite like the left-hand side, Willian and Anthony Robinson. They've linked up 2 or 3 times now. Robinson, when Willian takes possession and cuts inside, he is off like a bullet train down this left-hand side and has penetrated in behind the Liverpool back line on 3 occasions, delivered to the near post. It's been cleared on every occasion, or that one where he drilled it right across Kelleher, touched it past everybody. But yeah, they've just got to keep plugging away. It's not easy.
Robinson tries to win it back from some skill from Bradley. Now it's Kearney hoping to poke it to the run of Willian, ends up behind the Brazilian and out of play. Means a Liverpool throw for Bradley to take. Northern Ireland youngster. One of 2 20-year-olds in this Liverpool defence. Nunes. Willian wins the ball back. Now it's Declan Dover-Reid who drops over as Grafenberg plays it out to Bradley on the right-hand side. Touch from Kwanzaa to Virgil van Dijk. Van Dijk on the edge of the centre circle finds McAllister just in front of him. Now the Liverpool captain will turn it back to his goalkeeper. Long right-footed ball from Kelleher. Castagna having to deal with Diaz, the Liverpool goal scorer. Holds up the ball wide on the left-hand side. It'll come back for a low shot that's deflected by Tosin. Up and into the Hammersmith end. And it goes out for a Liverpool corner. They haven't had too many set pieces in this first half.
But the interesting thing about that is it went back to Kelleher. The back line of Fulham sprinted up to the halfway line, and Kelleher took one touch, and Diaz sprinted from 10 yards in his own half beyond Castagna, and Kelleher played an 80-yard ball in behind. He's not the best in the air, Castagna. It's a little bit of a weakness in his game. Diaz is getting joy on those long balls.
Does mean a corner. Harvey Elliott to take. Left-footed out swinger from him, and it's a poor one. I think he's going to get another chance.
Yeah,
here,
referee saw some shenanigans inside the 6-yard box and whistle. I heard the whistle before the corner came in.
Shenanigans, good words. I think Phil Parry likes a shmash.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. And I've tried to say it the other day.
No, I just did.
In a commentary and it didn't work.
Another chance from a corner. Does find a Fulham head to clear. Another fan decides to walk in front of us. We'll work out what's going on at some stage. I shouldn't really complain about watching a League Cup semi-final at a Premier League ground. Now it's Virgil van Dijk who's high on Liverpool's right-hand side. Paulinho with him. Comes out to Willian. Willian forward to Kearney. Kearney and McAllister clash. And I think he's going to reach for a yellow card. And Tom Kearney, I don't think did anything wrong there. I'm really surprised. Tom Kearney is absolutely stunned that he's going to be shown a yellow card. McAllister has clearly been injured, but both players were going for the ball. I don't see that. If we get another opportunity, at first glance in real time, Steve, I saw that as a fair challenge. I didn't see that as a yellow card.
But this is where I think we can help referees out. It looked like a slip to me.
Yep.
Yeah, so Kenny wins
gets the ball,
follows through, slips a little bit, and there is contact on McAllister's knee, but that's just a consequence of it being a contact sport, that you're going to have challenges that follow through and hit the opponent. You're going to have times when their contact's unavoidable. It doesn't mean just because someone's got hurt, you have to punish somebody else with a booking. That was just one of those, pat each other on the back, I hope you're all right, mate, we carry on. It wasn't a foul, it wasn't a booking.
No, yellow cards are for intentionally, you know, trying to injure somebody. And as you say, Tom Kearney got the ball, carried on sliding, ended up making contact with McAllister, who there is no doubt has been injured as a consequence.
Yeah, listen, actually, as we're talking and McAllister's receiving treatment, we are seeing a replay of the goal, and it does take a little deflection. I think if it doesn't take a deflection, the ball hits the ground first and then loops up. But either way, that should not beat the goalkeeper. It's a real poor bit of goalkeeping, actually.
Recently rewarded with a new contract, Bert Leno. He's a player who Marco Silva always takes the opportunity to talk about, you know, in very positive terms. He's really happy with Bert Leno. The boos are because McAllister's okay now, having received some treatment. He's coming across the stand in front of the Johnny Haynes stand to wait to be allowed back onto the pitch.
Yeah. And no doubt it did hurt. You know, it was a slip. He wasn't expecting it. He was coming forward as Kearney was going into him, so it would have been a little bit heavier contact than perhaps it looked. But it's just one of those things. You know, we can just say no problem and move on. But
yeah, there was no intent, I think, is the word I was
and it
searching
wasn't
for.
even that big in terms of contact either. It certainly wasn't malicious. There wasn't anything dangerous about it. But thankfully he's fine. That's you know, either way, whether it's a Fulham player or a Liverpool player, the last thing you want to see is anybody injured.
Ball comes back to Bradley. Bradley with a give and go that allows him to cross the ball into the Fulham box. It's cleared by Tosin. It'll drop out of play, and we're not too far away from finding out how much stoppage time there will be at the end of the first half. Liverpool leading by 1-0 on the night, 3-1 on aggregates, with Willian having scored early on at Anfield. Goals from Curtis Jones and Gakpo within the space of 3 minutes in the 68th and 71st minutes. In the first leg of this tie, means they came here with a 2-1 lead. And they're 1-0 up tonight through that Luis Diaz goal in this first half. Ball is with Robinson. Attempts to run through Harvey Elliott and doesn't quite manage to do so. It'll go out for a Liverpool throw-in in their right-back position. Conor Bradley will be the player to take it. And we're into 5 minutes of additional time. I'm not entirely sure where that's come from.
And most of it's from that McAllister injury, I would guess.
Yeah. But even that didn't feel that long in being treated. Maybe a chance in that 5 minutes for Fulham to get themselves an equaliser. Into that 5 minutes now. 1-0 they trail. Ball out to Paulinho. He's fouled by McAllister, and Fulham fans, unsurprisingly, are suggesting that the Liverpool player should get a yellow card now, Steve.
Yeah, I don't think there's even any contact on this. It's Castagna breaking forward. He chops it back. There is absolutely no contact on Castagna whatsoever, and he goes to ground. Puzzling is the best I say. Just because you're giving fouls now because a player goes to ground. Ugh.
Well, he's won his team a free kick. It'll be Pereira who waits behind it. Wide on the right-hand side. Players waiting inside the deep. Pereira's free kick. It's Kwanzaa that gets the touch, that takes it out for a corner.
Well, listen, this would be an unbelievable time to score. It would change the atmosphere, change the team talk. They've already had one opportunity from a corner. Can they find a way to get a goal back here?
I'll keep an eye on Paulinho again from this set piece. Pereira waits behind this corner in front of the Liverpool fans. It's an outswinger. Well, it was Diop who was up from the back who almost got his head on that. Drops back into midfield. What Fulham have got to be careful of now is allowing Liverpool to break. Robinson on the halfway line. Plays it forward again. It is, though, now picked up by Núñez on Liverpool's left-hand side. Comes across to Harvey Elliott. Good control from him as he attempts to turn away from Willian. Elliott with the ball in. Loads of limbs were being launched at that. Fortunately for Fulham, it couldn't quite find Gakpo. Still 1-0 to Liverpool. We are into about the third minute of the 5 minutes of stoppage time shown at the end of this first half.
Yeah,
skill from Elliott.
It's a brilliant crossfield ball. It's an unbelievable touch from Elliott.
It's Gravenbeck, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's a super cross. What? The crossfield ball, yeah, Gravenbeck.
Yeah.
But it's a super cross in from Elliott, in swinging towards the far post, and you've got Gakpo and Núñez lining up, and a little bit of communication from Núñez to allow Gakpo to let that go, I think, and he had the best opportunity.
Forward from Leno, up into the Fulham floodlights, headed by Van Dijk, back into the Fulham half of the pitch. It's Castagna who's turned back towards his own goalkeeper, squares it to Diop, the former West Ham man. Short sleeves and gloves for him this evening. Now with Leno. Leno gives it to Tosin. Tosin then turns it back to his keeper again. Well, Fulham aren't going to get an equaliser with this kind of football, Steve Brown.
No. Listen, and the problem is they are going to have to change their style of play a little bit second half, and they might have to go a little bit more direct.
Out to Kearney. Kearney finds Willian. Willian turns the ball around Diaz, whose goal separates the two sides as we head towards half-time. Now in field to Paulinho, I don't think we've seen enough of, Steve.
Yeah, but then you could argue Pereira and Kearney also. It's tough for them. They're up against a really good midfield in terms of the opposition, so I think all three of them have found it tough to get into the game. They have the most joy, I think, with Willian and Robinson, to be honest with you. Castagna's had his moments. Deco-Dover-Reid's finding it really difficult to get him. Jimenez has broken him behind a couple of times, but his delivery's not quite been there. But yeah, you've either got to really overdo it in the midfield, you know, and overpass and keep moving the ball, or you've got to find a way to try and go a little bit longer, a little bit quicker. And when I mean long, I don't mean direct and high. I mean but into a forward player quicker. Try and find Willian, try and find Deco-Dover-Reid or Jimenez to feet quicker and go back into midfield and play from there. Because like you said, they've had good possession there, Fulham. Yeah. You know, 10, 15 passes, but they've not gone into their final third. You know, and they're at the stage of the game, actually, where they need to start putting more or applying more pressure on Liverpool in their own, as in Fulham's final third.
Andreas Pereira a little frustrated there, chucked the ball down onto the pitch. The referee just having a word with the Fulham player, but it is actually him who waits behind this free kick. This is probably the last act of this first half. Pereira waits behind this free kick, just a few inches into the Fulham half. And it's straight into the chest of Kelleher, and that is the last act of this first half. And Liverpool look like having more than a boot in another League Cup final. Fulham will have plenty of work to do if they want to be at Wembley in February at half-time here at Craven Cottage in the second leg of this League Cup semi-final. Liverpool lead by 1-0. They're 3-1 up on aggregate.
BBC Radio London.
The home of London football.
Emma, thank you for that. So, as you just heard, Fulham 1 down to Liverpool, 3-1 down on aggregate. And Steve Brown, it's just, they've shown signs. It took them a bit of time to get into it, but it's just not cutting enough, as has been the case a lot of the time this season.
Yeah, they are up against the top side, which is why they're not cutting enough. But I still go back to that Paulinho chance. It came before the Liverpool goal. It was an outstanding opportunity. Outswinger, unmarked, volleyed it from 8 yards and didn't even hit the target. And even though they might have had 2 or 3 shots on target, that was the best opportunity of the first 45 minutes. And it needed to be taken, Aaron. And I tell you the other thing, they'll be extremely disappointed in the manner of the goal. It shouldn't find the back of the net either.
Should they have had a penalty?
I don't think so. I've watched replays. I've not seen enough contact, really, from any Liverpool player to warrant, you know, the referee pointing to the spot.
Tom Kearney's yellow card, some will feel he may have a right to be aggrieved with that, but I mean, there was only one way he was going with it.
Should never have been a yellow card, Aaron. If you know, in terms of, I don't know why referees feel that if a player gets hurt and rolls around that they've got to take action. It was just one of those things. It was a perfectly fair challenge. There was a slip and a follow through, and there was contact. Not saying there wasn't, but it's not a yellow card. It wasn't even a free kick.
Steve, thank you for the moment. Let's head to Reading and find out the latest between Reading and Arsenal in the Conti Cup. Emily Herbert.
Yeah, Beth Mead makes it 5-0 against Reading. An absolute screamer, volleys it from the edge of the box, and it whistles into the back of the goal through the arms of a net. But then it's Stina Blacksenius. She completes her hat-trick to make it 6-0. And that could be, you'd think, the game wrapped up for Reading now. Reading 0, Arsenal 6.
Leah Williamson on for Arsenal. Straight to Stamford Bridge. How are Chelsea getting on in that all-important Champions League tie against Real Madrid? Lauren Moore.
Yeah, half-time here. It's Chelsea 0, Real Madrid 0. This half, and especially the last 15 minutes, have been all Chelsea. Emma Hayes will be frustrated, I think, with the wasted chances in this half. Gura Wrighton has been through on goal twice, one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but her first attempt went wide, and the second she decided last moment not to take the shot herself and cross to captain Erin Cuthbert, who then scuffed the ball before it was cleared. So it's been a goalless first half here, but surely a Chelsea goal will be coming in the second half with how they've been playing here. It's Chelsea 0, Real Madrid 0.
Laurent, thank you. Let's take a look back at some of last night's action, and the Wimbledon manager Johnny Jackson has praised his side's resilience after enduring a poor first half at MK last night. The Wombles trailed 3-0 at the break but reduced the arrears in the second half through Armani Little before being reduced to 9 men with red cards for both Hussein Bila and Paul Callum. By Jackson says it started so well.
First sort of 8 minutes thought actually quite bright. Got in behind a couple of times. I think Sasu had a couple of chances, and then their first attack they score. We don't defend it well enough at all, and it gives them an impetus in the game. And then after that, I thought we was way off it in that first half, first period. Unacceptable. Conceded another goal, conceded from a set play, and just not recognisable really to the team that we've been so far this season. And that bit's hard to take, because in the second half we did look like us, but way off it in that first period.
Was it a combination of individual errors or just the team not knitting together?
Yeah, we made some individual errors for goals, but I don't think we put into practice what we're good at. Forward balls, forward runs, getting on the ball. We wasn't brave enough when we did win it back, and just looked a bit disjointed really, which is not like us. I just said to the lads there that if they didn't have blue and yellow shirts on, I wouldn't have recognised that team. And normally my team can play in green and white stripes, and I would know that it's my Wimbledon team, and that weren't the case in the first half, and it was in the second half. So that it's frustrating. It's frustrating, and it's obviously that period has cost us the game.
Obviously 3-0 down at half-time. Your team talks not that easy, but it came out and did score a goal through a little bit of a cock-up in that penalty area, but Little took it well. Gave you a little bit of a boost.
Yeah, it did. It did. We started the second half really well. And we was on the front foot, got the goal, and looked like we're well in the game. And obviously the sending off takes that away from us, really. Certainly the second one takes any chance of getting anything away from the game. So it was a good response at half-time, and obviously we needed to do something. We've gone and won that second half, but it's too late. It's too late. You know, you're 3-0 down in the game. You can't start at half-time. You know, it don't matter who you're playing. Like, you know, it's too late, and it's easy to. The pressure's off at 3-0. You know, we don't listen. Showed spirit in that second half, because down to 9 men, could have just gone under, and they racked up a score, but we kept them out. We showed more resilience with 9 than we did when we had 11. What I'm glad about is that we did show a response in the second half, and we showed a bit of spirit, because supporters needed to see that, because what we served out in the first half was no good. Fortunately, that's an outlier in this season, and nights like these, they can be you can fall off a cliff after them, or you can show a bit of spirit. And we're back at home on Saturday, and we have to dig in, and we have to show a response. The supporters need to see that.
There you go. That is the Wimbledon manager, Johnny Jackson. Richard Money out on the pitch here at Craven Cottage. You remember Richard Browning?
What era?
Played for Liverpool and Fulham. Managed Walsall,
he's a little
Luton,
bit before
Cambridge.
Me, if I'm honest. He's a little
I remember him
bit
at Cambridge United. Very good manager at Cambridge United.
Yeah.
But yeah, played for both Liverpool and Fulham. Other players still play for Liverpool and Fulham? Steve?
Go on.
Steve Finnan.
Oh, go on, Emma.
Danny
Anyone
Murphy.
Else? Danny Murphy?
Yeah.
Come on. Let's have a rogue
there
one.
was,
Go on.
Yeah, all right, I'll carry on thinking.
No, come on, Emma. There's one rogue one.
Rogue?
Yeah.
Go on.
Yari Lippmanen.
Oh, that's where I was going for. Finish.
Tony Warner.
Yeah.
Oh, stop it.
Who else are we going for?
Go on, I'm done.
Casey Keller didn't play for Liverpool, he played for Leicester. He played for Leicester, didn't he, Casey Keller? Casey Keller?
Millwall.
Casey Keller played for Millwall, I know. What, God, Steve. Just so off the mark tonight. Really? Emily's got full time at Reading.
Yeah, full time at the SCL Stadium, and it's finished. Reading 0, Arsenal 6. Stina Blackstenius gets a hat-trick. Lia Katina gets her first goal for the club, and not one but 2 players returning from injury in Leah Williamson and captain Kim Little. And to top it off, the Gunners advance to the quarter-finals of the Conti Cup. A good day for the London side this evening, not so much for Reading, but on the other hand, they can focus now on their championship campaign. Full time, Reading 0, Arsenal 6.
Emily, thank you. Now, Steve Morris and Sutton have made it to 2 draws in 2 games since the former Millwall striker since the former Millwall striker took over after a well-earned point away at Mansfield last night. Lee Angle gave United the lead before they were pegged back before the break, but it was enough to move off the top of the League 2 table. It follows on from the 2-2 draw with Barrow in his first game in charge, therefore maintaining an unbeaten run against teams in the top 5. Afterwards, Morris admitted it was another good showing.
Excellent, so Chris Sykes with Steve Morrison. Steve, I mean, another battling performance and another good point.
Yeah, excellent point. We scored a good goal, and yeah, we was in the game all the way, and frustrated with their goal, but they're a good team, and we've gone toe to toe with them, and come out of it with a point, so another point in the right direction.
Is that kind of what would be more pleasing from your point of view, is not just the fact that you've got the point, but the fact that you competed with a side at the top of the table all the way through that?
No, look, we're a good team, and we've got good players. They just need to believe they're good players, and we're working extremely hard to give them that confidence and belief and work on things, and they're carrying it out, they're taking all the information on board. And I think you can see that tonight. We changed shape and they carried it out, and it worked really well. We had a bit of pressure from them for 15 minutes, and we thought we'd seen it out, and then they get the goal. Look, we just go toe to toe with anyone. We're a good team, and we're going to be a proposition for everyone in this league for the rest of the season, and hopefully we can stop turning those draws into wins, and see if we can close the gaps.
Lee Angle got the goal. That's another one for him off the back of the Plymouth game as well. Could he end up playing quite a pivotal role for you up front this in the run in?
Everyone's going to play a pivotal part. He's just a member of the team, and he's an important member of the team. And I think his all-round play was excellent, and he's scored a good goal. He was there in the right place, right time, and he took a touch and he put it in the back of the net. He's an excellent player, and he's part of a number of really good players and players that are going to help us get to where we need to get to.
A couple of debutants in the side tonight, Nino and Ollie. How do they both get on from your point of view? Yeah, brilliant.
First league appearances, and both held their own. Nino I thought was very good in the first half attacking. I thought Ollie worked really hard and created a couple of good moments, and obviously we changed at half time because we lost Omar to injury, and we had a couple of things we had to do, and I thought Nino and Ollie were tremendous, and for 19 years old and 20 years old I think they were fantastic.
Omar Soumni went off at half time. Is he okay? There's no injury there, is there? Yeah, he's fine. He just wasn't feeling very well, so we made the decision to take him off, and we changed shape, and then obviously Goody was feeling something, so we didn't want to take any risks because we go again on Saturday. And Louis John come on and he was fantastic as well, so it was a real team performance. Last couple from me. You're 2 games in now. What are your reflections on those first couple of games? Because it was a tough start against 2 sides in the top 5, and you've emerged with points from both of them. My reflection is they're a really good team, and they need to just keep believing that they're a really good team, and they can get themselves out of this, and we'll all do it together. We'll do it as a group, and as I said to him, they're proud as punch. And just looking ahead, you've got I think it's Walsall and Harrogate and Doncaster coming up. I mean, you'll be growing in confidence to thinking you can turn some of those draws into wins now. Yeah, look, concentration is on Walsall, and we'll dust ourselves down. Tomorrow we'll be in Thursday morning, and we'll try and work out a way of.
BBC Radio London.
I'm Salma Al-Wadani. And I'm Riz Latif. The breakfast show now starts a little earlier than before. From 6 a.m. So now we have more time to make sure you start your day in form.
Very, very strong arguments on both sides.
So this is good news. Entertained.
I love stories like this because it just makes everyone happy.
And all with a sense of sharing together.
Whatever the stories of the morning bring us.
It's not a great start to the new year.
That's 4 hours of our great city.
At its very best.
Every weekday morning.
6 until 10.
With me, Salma Al-Wadani, Monday to Thursday.
And me, Riz Latif, on Friday.
Together, London, we've got you covered.
BBC Radio London.
BBC Radio London.
The home of London football.
Yeah, welcome back to Craven Cottage. We're on the banks of the River Thames tonight. Fulham with an uphill task in this second half if they're to salvage their Wembley dream. They're 3-1 down on aggregate as both sets of players emerge from the tunnel for the second half. We've seen Andy Robertson of Liverpool go through an extensive warm-up over half-time. And before I hand back to Emma and Steve, any more names for our little half-time quiz? Players still play both Liverpool and Fulham, Emma?
Harvey Elliott.
Yeah.
Fabio Carvalho.
Yeah.
It would be nice to say that he's got played for both.
Steve?
No, but now I've seen Richard Money walk past us. He's got a European Cup winners medal, 81.
Show me the money. You don't get it, don't worry about it. So is, I think Steven Grizovic has got one, you know. I think Steven Grizovic has got one as well. Anyway, the other 3 I had, Nico Williams.
Yes, only on loan, yeah.
John Arnorisa.
Yeah.
And Karl-Heinz Riedler.
Also managed with Roy Evans for a little while.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there we go, there's a double Liverpool connection.
There you go. That is pretty much that from me. As London Calling booms around Craven Cottage, both sets of players heading back, trudging back onto the field, and the Fulham coaching staff making their way across over on the far side as well. It's an uphill battle now for Marco Silva's side. 45 minutes to come. Live and in full here on the home of London football, BBC Radio London, in the company of Steve Brown. And first, Emma Jones.
So, what can Fulham do now? What kind of conversation has Marco Silva had with his team ahead of a big 45 minutes, possibly plus, for his side? What does he even really need to tell them at this stage? You've got one of the best teams in the world, a team that's leading in the Premier League at the moment, a team that doesn't lose football matches, and you've got to score at least 2 goals against them, Steve Brown.
Yeah, and what you can't do is leave yourself in a position where that becomes 3. So you've got to safeguard. We're in trouble immediately from the kickoff.
Well, it's Luis Diaz who's on the attack. The goal scorer in the first half. Early break from Liverpool. Finds Gakpo square. Liverpool inside the Fulham 18-yard box. It's back with Harvey Elliott, who shoots wide. I tell you what, if he scores tonight, the whole of West London will know about it from the boos that ring out around Craven Cottage.
Yeah, well, Diaz should have scored. I mean, they had a counter-attacking opportunity on a turnover in the centre of the pitch, and the ball was played from centre out wide to Diaz. He cuts in from left to right again and squares the ball when he has to shoot. I've got no idea why he gave up that opportunity. When it comes back out to Elliott, he's got a chance to strike the ball at goal, and he slices off the outside of his boot. But that's exactly what Fulham didn't want to do. Early turnover in the middle of the pitch. Fantastic opportunity for Liverpool. But what I was trying to say is,
that would have been game over, wouldn't it?
That's what I'm saying. So that it's easy to say, oh, we know what they've got to do. They've got to go out and get a goal. They've got to try and get the ball forward quicker. But there's this real horrible twist or stick moment. It's not coming yet. It's going to come in about 15 to 20 minutes where you've got to just take many, many risks across the pitch to try and get back into it. But if you do it now and you concede, it knocks the wind out of everyone's sails in this ground and on the pitch, and it could become 3 and 4 after that. So it's got to be calculated. It's got to be done at not putting the ball at too much risk at this moment in time. But in 10 or 15 minutes, I think Fulham will have to open up and take a lot of risks. We're going to see a lot of substitutions as well to try and change the game, I would have thought.
Yeah, we might see those changes in this second half. Those options available to both managers. Liverpool having played most recently on Sunday. Fulham had that early kick-off on Saturday at Stamford Bridge in the league. Ball out to Diaz. So it's Leno in goal for the home side. Robinson, Diop, Tosin and Castagna, the back 4. João Paulinho and Tom Cairney, who got a rather controversial yellow card in the first half in front of them. Willian Pereira and De Cordova-Reid sporting Raul Jimenez up front. Kelleher in goal for Liverpool. It's Conor Bradley, Jarell Kwanzaa, Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez as their back 4. Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, Harvey Elliott, Cody Gakpo, Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz, who is the Liverpool goal scorer this evening. The 11 for Liverpool. As Steve Brown was saying, both of these managers are likely to start making changes in this second half. And the ball is in the hands of Jurgen Klopp at the moment, Steve Brown.
Yeah, I think Marco Silva will have to show his hand first because he's chasing the game. I think Klopp will only change it, one, when he thinks he's got a comfortable enough lead to protect players on the pitch, i.e. ones that he's going to need again and again and again before the end of the season. But you can see here Fulham are already, a little bit open. And if they turn over the ball at the wrong moment, it's giving Liverpool lots of opportunity to play balls into space.
Núñez, ball on the left-hand corner of the Fulham 18-yard backs. Turns it back to Gomez. Gomez fancies a shot and drops it just over the Fulham crossbar.
Yeah,
and
worth a try.
Yeah.
It comes back to him about 25 yards out. His first touch takes him inside on that favoured right foot. It opens up the far corner, which would be Leno's left-hand post, so you kind of start it off outside that left-hand post to drag it back in, but he started it off centrally, and it was always underneath it, and off it went above the crossbar, never threatening the goal, really, but worth a shot, or worth an attempt.
he hasn't scored in 236 appearances for club and country, Joe Gomez.
Yeah, quite incredible.
So we would have seen something quite historic if that had gone in.
Even if you're going up for set pieces, you know, with that many games and that many attempts.
Going off your backside, wouldn't it? Here the ball is with Willian. He's encouraged forward. Willian finds Decordova-Reid. Decordova-Reid with a shot. And it's Diaz who I think was the player back there to block it. And they'll go out for a corner. Well, he's been in goal-scoring form recently, Bobby Decordova-Reid. Scored here in the win against Arsenal. Got the goal as well in the FA Cup. But, well, Diaz was helping out Joe Gomez, in fact, in taking that out for a Fulham corner instead. 5 minutes of the second half play. The corner that comes in is scooped away as far as Willian, who looks forward. Willian gets away from Elliott. Low drive, I think might have actually been blocked by the heels of Tosin, who was in front of him. The Fulham defender somewhat getting in the way of the Brazilian. Anthony Robinson quickly back to make sure that Liverpool can't take advantage of a quick break forwards. Finds Castagna, who gives it back to Leno, and then Leno launches it back up the pitch into midfield. Off the head of Kwanzaa comes to Diaz. Diaz running at Castagna. Now Diaz inside the Fulham box. It'll come in to Gakpo. I'm not sure if Castagna's enjoying having to deal with Luis Diaz at the moment, Steve Brown. Is that stating the obvious?
It's a tough night for him. Listen, Luis Diaz runs with the ball as quickly as he runs without it, and that's really tough for fullbacks. And you can't quite tell what way he's going to go. He keeps the ball very close to his feet, and he shifts from inside to outside very, very quickly. On this occasion, it looked like he was going to go inside, and then at the last minute, he flicks it outside, and Castagna can't stay with him. Tough to defend 1v1.
Ball with Kearney. Pereira to his right. Jimenez to his left. Jimenez hooks it in. It's headed back towards Decordova-Reid, where the Castagna's just behind him. Infield to Paulinho. Paulinho turns away from Grafenberg. Now Tosin and Diop on the halfway line. Up the pitch to the bleached hair of Anthony Robinson. Comes infield to Kearney. Kearney trying to get away from Gakpo. Gives the ball to Willian. You have to remember that Willian is in his mid-30s now, and I think he's playing some brilliant football for Fulham.
And looks fit as a fiddle. But this free kick here is won by Kearney. It's not even an aggressive challenge. It's just a fraction after the ball's gone, but there's no real contact. Kearney goes down. That's very similar to what we saw between Kearney and McAllister the other way around. No booking for Gakpo, but free kick to Fulham. But I'm starting to see, 52 minutes, starting to see Fulham pile more bodies forward in search of trying to find at least one of these goals back.
Willian and Kenny exchanging passes with the Brazilian now as he launches it in. Tosin was there, Kelleher comes out, and Liverpool just about survive. Well, that was dangerous from their goalkeeper. The defence helps out. Now it's Nunes forward. Nunes finds Elliott. Leno gets his legs to it, and the former Fulham youngster cannot make it 2-0 to the visitors here at Craven Cottage this evening. It'll come back for a strike from McAllister that goes wide. I tell you what, I did think Nunes was going to go for goal himself. Instead, he squared it to Harvey Elliott and forces a save from the legs of Bert Leno. At the other end, well, it was Tosin who was up, Kelleher at his back, Pereira came in, and it was the post that denied Fulham an equaliser at the other end.
Yeah, Kelleher getting nowhere near the punch. Tosin wins the header. And Pereira, I don't want to say should score because it's quite an acute angle, but he'll be very disappointed he hasn't put that across towards the other post to give someone else an opportunity to maybe finish it if it doesn't go in. And there we've seen our first sign of the breakneck speed of which Liverpool can counter-attack. We're going to get a really entertaining game here until one of them scores. And if Fulham get it, it's going to be even more entertaining. If Liverpool get it, it's going to die a death.
Yeah, in the blink of an eye, as you say, we saw Pereira hit the post and then Harvey Elliott have a chance at the other end.
I was critical of the goal that he let in Leno. That's a wonderful save and kept Fulham, in the game, because Elliott's free. He's got a 1v1. He's bearing down on goal, slight angle on his right foot, and that's an excellent save from Leno.
Jurgen Klopp watching on. His medically enhanced smile was covered by a snood briefly.
He does look like Jim Carrey from The Mask, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, you could say that, Steve.
I don't mind saying it because I think it's quite funny.
He's on the other side of the pitch.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I wouldn't go toe-to-toe with him, I'll say that.
Ball here with Castagna, infield to Paulinho, quick pass up the pitch in midfield to Kearney. Now it's lifted out to the run of Pereira. Gomez comes across. Does the Liverpool player get a touch, or does he make sure he shepherds that out for a goal kick? It will be a goal kick for Kelleher to take. 10 minutes have been played in this second half. It is still 1-0 to Liverpool. I don't know if Raul Jimenez has been given a slightly different role, but he seems to be sort of playing slightly wider, Steve, and has been trying to be the provider rather than the goal scorer.
What they've done is they know they've got to take risks, so Pereira's gone slightly higher and alongside Jimenez to stop the two centre-halves receiving possession, but that's forced the midfield to come much higher as well, so Kearney has to push forward, Paulinho has to push forward, so they're trying a little bit of a higher press to try and force Liverpool into a little turnover, but this is a very good side and they're not having any of it. They're finding their spare man quite well, utilising the goalkeeper and avoiding the pressure. But they've got to do it, Fulham. They've got to take risks. They've gone back into a defensive shape now because Liverpool kept good possession, but they've got to try and take a few more risks in possession in terms of getting the ball forward quicker. We saw a great ball down the left-hand side to Willian, cut inside on his right. That's what I mean about getting the ball forward quicker. Not necessarily launching the ball quicker, but calculated balls forward to those front three a little bit quicker.
Having home advantage in the second leg, it certainly helped for Chelsea, didn't it? I know that they were playing a championship side in Middlesbrough, but both Chelsea and Fulham trailing after the first legs of their League Cup semi-finals. Big win for Pochettino's side last night. It means that they know that they will be in that final on the 25th of February. That first piece of silverware of the domestic season. At the moment, it looks as if it will be Liverpool who join them. Fulham fans slightly frustrated that it's taken a while for Liverpool to take a throw-in in their right-back position. It's now bouncing around in midfield as Kearney gives it back to Robinson. Now a touch from Paulinho. Inside the centre circle with Diop, who plays a pass out to Castagna. The cross from him gets a Liverpool block. Pereira tries to keep it inside. Fulham's attacking third, but now it's Diaz who breaks and sprints across halfway. Still racing forward. Plays it out to his left-hand side and Nunes. Nunes runs at toss-in, curls the ball around him. Leno gets a glove to it to take it out for a Liverpool corner. Still 1-0 to the visitors, but Nunes is building up a head of steam.
Yeah, and Diaz is the architect here. He skips away from a challenge from Paulinho. I don't know how he does it. It's absolutely outstanding. He then drives 60 yards from outside to inside the pitch, which opens up the space for Nunes to go wide. He finds him with the ball. It's a delightful effort from Nunes, curling inside Leno's left-hand post. It's going to be 2-0 on the night, and Leno pulls off another outstanding save low down to his left.
I haven't seen a definitive, I should have watched it actually, the replays of that Diaz goal as Liverpool take this corner and Robinson gets his head to it, but I think there was a slightly sort of weird kind of contact happened somewhere.
Something happened, yeah.
But nevertheless, as you've been saying in commentary, Steve, Leno will be disappointed because he was in the right place. It went under his body. Ball here with McAllister. Delivery blocked. Willian can't stop Bradley from putting a cross in. It's Tosin who leaps to get his head onto it. Now comes to Diaz. Diaz just to the right of the D. Forward to Gakpo. Gakpo pulls it back. It'll be headed down almost to Luis Diaz. Pereira loses his balance as it comes out to Nunez. Now with Diaz who plays it further left to Harvey Elliott. Decordovery close to the Liverpool midfielder. It'll go out off the Fulham forwards. Now it's Gomez to take the resulting throw-in. 59 minutes on the clock here at Craven Cottage. 1-0 to Liverpool on the night.
Yeah.
Having brought a 2-1 lead here from the first leg. Yeah. Steve Brown.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen many sides in the country counter-attack like Liverpool do. It's swift, it's quick, it's accurate, it's at high tempo.
and you wouldn't fancy being up against it, would you?
Absolutely not. No. I mean, I've come across Arsenal, you know, at their best with Omri, you know, and at times Anelka, Overmars, and they could counter-attack. But these guys tonight, and it's a tricky position Fulham find themselves in, because they are going to have to twist at some point. They can't keep sticking, and the minute they do twist, you've got that threat of Diaz, Núñez, Gakpo, and midfielders join as well, you know, with legs down the centre of the pitch. It's a very difficult circumstance Fulham find themselves in, but you've got to keep plugging away. You've got to try and get possession of the ball on little turnovers, maybe when Liverpool are caught out, and then you can't go sideways and backwards, Emma. There comes a point when we're, 60 on the clock, sideways and backwards is a killer. You've got to go forwards as quickly as you can to try and unsettle Liverpool.
Well, Fulham had that little run of 5-0 wins here, didn't they, against teams? Not quite sure where those goals came from, but Fulham could do with a few of those this evening. So Liverpool leading 1-0 here with half an hour left to go. How are Chelsea's women doing against Real Madrid in their latest Champions League group match? Laura Moore's at Stamford Bridge.
It's Chelsea 1, Real Madrid 0. A penalty for Chelsea. Niamh Charles fouled in the box, right in with a left-footed delivery into the bottom right of the net, sending the keeper the wrong way. It's Chelsea 1, Real Madrid 0.
Thank you. So Chelsea would progress to the knockout stages with a victory in that game this evening. So looks like that penalty could be the winner. May be able to add to that. Pass in field to Luis Diaz. Now it's Gomez who's in a central midfield position, who plays it forward to Núñez, holds up the ball left-hand corner of the Fulham 18-yard box, comes back in field to McAllister. He's in a tussle with Raul Jimenez. Tom Kearney's in there as well and getting involved. And the Liverpool player's holding his right ear, but he might have cried wolf here, really, because it was Kearney versus McAllister that led to the yellow card for the Fulham captain in the first half. And I think there was more contact there on McAllister. And I've no doubt he felt that again, Steve, but he's quickly up this time, doesn't require any treatment. 62 on the clock.
Yeah, but Liverpool turning the screw, certainly on top, starting to dominate and picking Fulham apart.
And they've got it with Núñez. Castagna and Tosin follow the Liverpool number 9 into their 18-yard box. I completely understand what you've been saying, Steve, about the Fulham mindset needing to change in terms of them trying to get those goals, which would leave them vulnerable defensively. Yeah. It's one thing to know that you need to do that. It's another thing, I guess, to start putting that into action, isn't it?
Yeah, you're playing a top team in the country.
Yeah.
You know, you've already said their stats today on the losses they've had this season. These are extremely hard to play against, this Liverpool side. What I would say is, can they have a bit more physicality? Vinicius maybe coming on and just adding a little bit more physicality, maybe hitting him early, trying to hold the ball up a bit quicker. Because at the moment, they can't get through this Liverpool.
Turn from Núñez! Oh! Well, our angle of that shot, I wouldn't have been surprised to see that bulge the back of the Fulham net. Yeah. But he doesn't find the target this time. And the Fulham fans are having to start to make a bit of noise. And this is what Marco Silva was talking about with Andy Rowley ahead of the game. He was talking about the difference the fans could make, talking about just what a noise can be made at Anfield by those Liverpool supporters. They're quiet at the moment, those Liverpool fans to our left-hand side, because I think they're more than satisfied by what they're seeing from their team.
They can feel a second goal coming. That Núñez shot was a whisker past Leno's right-hand post. He wasn't saving it either. It beaten him and it was inches wide. It was a super effort from Núñez, but Liverpool are dominating now. They've gone into another gear and Fulham can't cope for the time being.
Gomez, stopped by 3 Fulham players who just shut him down as he tried to race through midfield. I mentioned the fact that he hasn't scored a goal. He fancies changing that this evening here at Craven Cottage.
Well, they know a goal now kills the tie, absolutely kills it, and they've got the upper hand, and there's no surprise there's 3 Fulham players out warming up. Again, Liverpool nick, you know, they just can't find a way to get anything past this Liverpool press at the moment. They're struggling in their own half. When they win it back, they can't get out. They've got no focal point in terms of hitting Jimenez. He's getting bullied now and he's isolated. And this is all Liverpool.
All they need, from their perspective, is that second goal on the night to put the tie to bed. I can't believe we're not going to see changes in the next few minutes.
Well, just keeping an eye on those benches, it does look like Fulham are going to be making a triple substitution, in fact, Steve.
They've got to.
So I might need your extra pair of eyes to work out who's coming off and who's coming on. But I think maybe Vinicius, Muniz. Oh, Leno's out of his 18-yard box. But, well, Gakpo, fortunately, Steve, was offside.
Yeah, and again, you've got that where you try and push your back line up higher to condense the space between the midfield and the front line to make it easier for you, so Liverpool can't dominate, and then they play a ball straight in behind for Gakpo. Fortunately, caught offside this time.
Right, lots and lots of subs. One of them is Wilson. Luis Boamorte just showing him the playbook before he comes on.
They can't cope with the pressure. I do feel from. So it's a ball from tossing more in hope than expectation, and it just goes to Van Dijk. Pushes it back into his midfield, and Liverpool come again. It's just wave after wave of red shirts. Very difficult for Fulham.
Fulham, whose League Cup journey started with a victory against Tottenham, the first team to beat Ange Postecoglou's Spurs, who had that brilliant start to the season, a penalty shootout in the end. I think slightly annoyed there by a Pereira pass.
Yeah, complete miscommunication. Reed went inside, he passed it down the line, out for a goal kick. Groans around us, and couples standing up actually being a little bit critical.
So Bobby De Cordova-Reid is going to come off. Wilson is the player who replaces him. So that's one change made by Fulham. And there's a double substitution to be made by Liverpool. Darwin Núñez is going to come off, and well, Jota's coming on, and Alexis McAllister is also coming off, and Curtis Jones is going to come on. So those are the changes that have been made here. There's another goal at Stamford Bridge. Have Chelsea extended their lead, Lauren?
So it's got Chelsea 1, Real Madrid 1, an equaliser for Real Madrid, but just now Chelsea have scored the goal. As I was looking down at my paper, writing down what just happened with Real Madrid, I need to go and confirm the Chelsea details, but it's currently Chelsea 2, Real Madrid 1.
Thank you very much. It certainly sounds as if Chelsea are back ahead in that one after Real Madrid have got an equaliser, so I'm sure Lauren will let us know exactly who scored that goal, but Real Madrid's only on equal terms for a very brief time in that game. Emma Hayes, who will be leaving Chelsea at the end of this season to take over the job of being the USA head coach. Wow. Ball here is with Kwanzaa, forward from him. So one change made by Fulham, and it is Wilson who's come on. Double substitution made by Liverpool, Jota and Curtis Jones, who scored one of the goals in the first leg of this time. Little touch from Diaz. Diaz pulled square, waiting for support. Gets it from Harvey Elliott just in front of him. It'll come back for Curtis Jones. Now it's a turn from Jota, who got a couple of goals against Bournemouth on Sunday. So some fresh legs brought on by Liverpool, but it's not as if he's brought on some youngsters here, Steve, is it?
No.
69 minutes on the clock. 1-0 to Liverpool on the night, 3-1 on aggregate. This Liverpool side have won the League Cup 9 times. No team has won the League Cup more than the team in red here this evening. Ball with Kearney. Kearney to Paulinho to his right. Up the pitch to Wilson. Well, he tried to control it with his left boot, but asking a little too much of the Welsh international there.
Yeah, but it all starts with that first ball up to Jimenez, and he's managed to hold off Kwanzaa, keep possession back into midfield, which then allows that third man run for Wilson wide on the right. He's close to pulling that out of the sky for an opportunity, but his touch just goes away from him. But that's better from Fulham.
did score Harry Wilson in the 4-3 defeat in the end for Fulham at Anfield in the Premier League. He's also scored in the League Cup this season. The ball is with Diaz, doesn't go for goal himself. Turns it out to Gakpo on the right-hand side. The pass back is intercepted by Paulinho. Now it's a chance, it's a low drive from Grafenberg and just wide.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite relentless now from Liverpool, and Fulham are getting stretched, they're getting tired, and they are on the back foot. But like I said, we're still in that spot where if Fulham score, it'll be really interesting. Still got 20+ add-ons, plenty of time to get a couple of goals, because the momentum will massively change if they find a goal.
If they find a goal.
Well, it's a tough ask, Emma. I think everybody listening, everybody here tonight knows this is a good Liverpool side. The results bear that out. They're not easy to break down, and even when you do put them under pressure, they can break through you quicker than any side I've seen in a long time in terms of counter-attack. And the quality Diaz possesses is incredible in terms of, you know, he's quite slight and he just holds people off. He's got brilliant skill in just getting the ball away from the person that he's up against and finding a pass forward.
Referee just having a word there with Issa Diop and Diogo Jota, and they were standing sort of side by side. And, well, the Fulham defender has got about a foot, I would suggest, on the Liverpool attacking player.
Yeah.
Sort of just looked down onto the top of his head.
Yeah, they're proper at it. They're at it again. You know, there's a little bit of a tussle going on there off the ball. That's their last warning. Referee's giving the old last warning.
Yeah, one more. First thing Issa Diop does is just tug on Jota's shirts.
All fun and games.
Little nibble again from the Fulham defender. So just under 20 minutes left of the game here. Liverpool leading 3-1 on aggregate, having seen Luis Diaz score to add to the 2 goals they got at Anfield after Willian, who's on the ball at the moment, opened the scoring for Fulham in the first leg of this tie. Ball comes to Kearney. Kearney out to Anthony Robinson, who's being linked with a move to Liverpool. He's being linked with a move to loads of places, actually, at the moment. Comes up the pitch to Raul Jimenez. Being dealt with by Kwanzaa. Out to Castagna. Castagna with a cross from the right-hand side. Paulinho's there. Oh, and then it's Raul Jimenez, who I think was slightly surprised that ball was coming to him, so didn't get the contact Stevie would have liked.
Yeah, he got his shot away, and he got it in the manner he wanted to, but it took a deflection which took a sting out of it, and then a ricochet off of Jimenez, which he knew nothing about, and it drifted through to Kelleher. But yeah, I mean, promising moments from Fulham. Like I said, got to start taking more and more risks as this clock winds down.
Ball with Gomez, he's in central midfield at the moment. Short pass up the pitch to the run of Harvey Elliott. Racing at Paulinho.
That's the other side of it, Emma. They have players that can drive 50, 60 yards of the ball, and what that does to the opposition, it makes them drive 40, 50, 60 yards back, and there are a few tired legs in that Fulham side now.
Now with Curtis Jones, one of the changes made by Liverpool a few moments ago. Finds Diaz, or in fact doesn't find Diaz, because Castagna leaps to get his head onto that.
He's vulnerable area, Castagna. He's not had a really good night dealing with the long balls over his shoulder or anything aerially above him.
I mean, especially if you've got Kenny Tete on a bench, Steve. I know it's difficult and you can only play one of them, and I don't think Castagna has been bad. No. I mean generally this season.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. He's not had I can't sit here and say Castagna's been a disaster. No, but
he's going to come off in a minute, by the way.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. But there are elements...
I'm only telling you now because Kenny Tete's getting ready to come on.
But there are elements aerially where he should win the ball and he doesn't. Diaz has beaten him a couple of times, and that header there inside was a poor header, straight back to a Liverpool midfielder, and it wasn't a difficult header either.
Controlled by the knee of Diaz. To Gomez. Gakpo won't get there before Anthony Robinson makes sure it bounces out for a goal kick.
And I'd imagine Robinson, statistically, in terms of miles covered, distance covered, sprints made in a game.
He's done a marathon, hasn't he?
Well, every game, every time I'm here, his overlapping is incredible. He has the stamina to get back in, no problem. He never looks tired. And that's kind of where Liverpool are at. They love those players that can do
And if
both
he scores a
sides
goal,
of it.
he does backflips.
Oh, well.
He does those Loire backflips.
I haven't seen that too many times, I've got to be honest.
He does it for America recently, he did those. Ball with Wilson. Fulham have it in their attacking third. Out to Raul Jimenez, who gives it to Castagna. Castagna pulls it back to Tosin. And then Diop gets a touch to his left-hand side. Releases the ball on halfway, up to Anthony Robinson, who we've just been talking about how brilliant he's been, really, for Fulham. Unfortunately, so good that it does mean other clubs come sniffing around. Now it's with Kearney. Kearney not able to turn, and so finds Robinson wider on the left-hand side. And now it's Kearney who's down on the pitch, wins his team a free kick. And it looks as if this might be the chance, possibly, for these changes to be made by Fulham. Rodrigo Muniz is one of the players who's coming on. Kene Tete is the other. Will it be like for like? Will Castagna come off for Tete? And will Muniz come on alongside Raul Jimenez at the expense of another player? We'll wait to see, Steve. Yeah, substitutions won't be made before this free kick is taken wide on the left-hand side. It's Kearney who's behind it. Both Tosin and Diop were up from the back. There's a shove on a Fulham player inside the D. He's quickly back to his feet, Diop, but the home fans were rather hoping for something here. Chance for a cross, on it goes in! And Diop's got the equaliser at close range! The cross finds Issa Diop! And they might still have a lifeline here in this League Cup! We've not got long to go, but that Diop goal makes it on the night. Fulham 1, Liverpool 1.
Yeah, and we've been talking about perhaps the vulnerability 1v1 in the right-back spot. I didn't quite see who was defending it, but it's a really poor bit of defensive work out wide, and it is the youngster, Bradley, who dives in on Wilson, allowing him to skip past him. It's not great defending. The ball in from Wilson takes a little flick, I think, of the Liverpool player, then finds itself to Diop. And it's off his knee and in the back of the net before Keller can make any kind of reaction save. Game on.
Well, Steve Brown, you promised me a great game if Fulham got an equaliser. We're looking forward to that now. Issa Diop, first goal of the season for him. The ball is now with Pereira. Pereira tries the cross to Willian. Willian just keeps it in wide on the left-hand side. Liverpool try and break. Now picked up by Gakpo. Little shove on his shoulder by Pereira. Now with Jota. Quite an aggressive challenge by Issa Diop. I think he's going to get a yellow card. The Fulham goal scorer, maybe there's just a bit more adrenaline running through his veins. Oh, they have been. Yeah, that's true.
They've been at it. There's something in that. Let's see how bad he's just mistimed it. That's actually, sometimes you think they're meant. Okay, he's meant to leave a bit on him here. He's just completely mistimed that.
He took his left leg out from under him, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he has, but Jota's shown him the ball. So Diop's got sucked into trying to win it. And just as Jota's played it out wide, he's caught the bottom of Jota's foot, which will be painful. But yeah, I thought there might be something in that. There wasn't. It was just a genuine attempt to try and win the ball, and he got his timing wrong.
But no, you are right. Simon Hooper had already had a word with them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Free kick for Liverpool. It's going to be Harvey Elliott to take. That distinctive mop of curly, dirty blonde hair. Blue boots. Referee blows the whistle. Harvey Elliott plays it forward. It's Van Dijk who makes contact with his head. And then it's Wilson, who I would suggest is the shortest player on the pitch, who gets the header to take it away. And it was Wilson who put that cross in for Issa Diop as well.
Yep.
And the home fans feel that there might be something on here now.
Oh, massively. Listen, it's a momentum swinger. Liverpool are nervous. Crowd are up.
Ball is with Wilson. Wilson races forward. Kelleher has to make the save to take it out for a corner. Well, before the game this evening, we were playing you a montage of some extraordinary nights that Fulham have been a part of. Could this be another one? 1-1 here. That effort leads to a corner. Just over 10 minutes to play. 1-1 on the night. Pereira with the corner. It's Grafenberg who gets his head to it. Willian, though, collects for Fulham. Now Pereira, low ball in from him. Kwanzaa's clearance this time. And danger from Jota. Anthony Robinson. A no-nonsense block from him on halfway. He had to get that right. Comes wide to the left-hand side. Now with Willian infield to Paulinho. Forward from Paulinho. Raul Jimenez controls it to try and bring it down. Might still come to the Mexican. Drops back to Kearney. And now it'll drop out of play on this near side. Fulham fans to our left and to our right, encouraging everyone here who's been waving those flags and hitting those clappers to do something now. Now it's Anthony Robinson who's up, but Kelleher that time looked more confident than I think he's looked all night, Steve Brown.
Yeah, very good position actually. Decent run from Robinson in behind the Liverpool back line. Decent long ball, but Kelleher's positioning means he's in a great spot just to make a high claim. I did say there'd be a momentum swing. We're seeing it right now, but as you just saw, I know Robinson made an excellent recovery challenge, but that was a 3v1 for Liverpool. They're going to have moments. It's whether they can take it, but Fulham doing everything they can, that they possibly can here to get back on level terms.
Now with Tosin, who's found himself in central midfield, flicks the ball out to Willian. 1-1 on the night. 3-2 to Liverpool on aggregate at the moment. Away goals, by the way, do not count. Ball with Castagna. Castagna out to Pereira. Pereira puts in a cross from the right-hand side that goes all the way across the Liverpool goal mouth. Now it's picked up by Willian. Liverpool try and recover and get the ball away through Gakpo. And at the moment, Fulham are saying to Liverpool, you're not getting this out of your half.
No, and you're seeing the reaction from both benches again, because I think Fulham sense that this is a great opportunity to try and get something to tie. Jurgen Klopp's been striding up and down that technical area for about 10 minutes. He's been having little conversations with his assistant. He looks nervous. He knows it's a very challenging last 8 minutes plus add-ons. They're going to make changes as well.
I think a couple more changes, and I think Pereira is the player who's been replaced by Muniz and Castagna, who we were talking about. Oh, actually, sorry, it looks like it might be Tom Kearney. Oh, and now Tom Kearney's coming off, and Harrison Reed is coming on. So a triple substitution made by Fulham. And Cody Gakpo will not be adding to his League Cup goals this evening. And Konate is coming on for Gakpo. So basically, and 38 is also coming off, Grafenberg. And Bobby Clark is the other player who is coming on. 84 minutes have been played. And if you see a little resemblance, Bobby Clark is the son, this will make you feel old, Steve, it makes me feel old, of former Fulham captain Lee Clark.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Although in saying that, my son's 27. So.
Well, is he playing in midfield for Liverpool?
No, not quite.
And we can go to Stamford Bridge for an update on how Chelsea are doing against Real Madrid. Lauren Moore.
It's Chelsea 2, Real Madrid 1. Chelsea's second goal came from a keeper own goal. Mylene Chavas had the ball in her hands, but she dropped it into the back of her net. A huge error, unlucky for Real Madrid, but it's looking brighter for Chelsea again. Aggie Beaver-Jones, Lauren James and Nuskin have all come on for Chelsea in this second half. It's Chelsea 2, Real Madrid 1.
Thank you very much. Rather peculiar goal, but they all count. Ball here with Wilson. Pass to Robinson is intercepted by Clark. Now it comes to Curtis Jones. Willian hopes to win it off Harvey Elliott. Sliding in goes Clark. Keenness and energy from the substitutes. Comes back to Tosin, who gives it to his goalkeeper. 5 minutes left to play. 3-2, Liverpool leading on aggregates.
Yeah, Liverpool gone into a back five now.
Yeah.
Wing backs in place. Konate on the right of that three.
Yes, Gakpo off, Konate on, basically says, I'm parking a Liverpool bus.
We're anticipating direct balls at some point and we need to deal with them. Here's one from Tosin and Van Dijk deals with that. But it's obviously going to have an impact on in terms of how they play through midfield, but they've still got that front three in place.
Diaz has got behind Tete. Tete stretches out a leg and says, you're not getting any further than that. Kenny Tete, who scored the winning penalty here in that game against Tottenham right at the start of Fulham's League Cup journey this season, who was actually off the pitch getting a new pair of boots when Richarlison scored for Tottenham in that game, which you might not be surprised to learn absolutely infuriated Marco Silva. But was back on to score in that penalty shootout. Fulham securing their semi-final place with a penalty shootout win against Everton at Goodison Park. That went to sudden death penalties. Ball is here with Konate. 4 minutes left of the 90. If it's all square after 90 minutes over the two legs, then we will have another 30 minutes of football. Jota chases the ball that's gone behind Tosin, who's stayed down holding on to his left boot, and the referee will come across to check on him. Well, it was Jota who got away from Diop initially, and then, well, Tosin, I think in trying to make contact with the ball, might have got a little bit of Jota as well unintentionally and just slightly jarred his boots. 1-1 on the night, 3-2 to Liverpool. Chelsea awaiting in the League Cup final. Ball with Gomez and then Konate. Now it's picked up in midfield by Jones. Back to Jones again with Gomez and then Van Dijk. And Liverpool just know while they've got the ball, they're controlling the game, Steve Brown.
Yeah, and actually I would like to see the Fulham back line race up a lot quicker than it did to the halfway line, allowing the midfield to get on as well and putting a bit of pressure on, because Liverpool can go back from the halfway line back to Kelleher, kill the game. So you've got to do more when they do that. You've got to go and chase it down. You've got to get the line up. You're running out of time. 2 minutes plus add-ons. It's worth a 20-yard squeeze just to try and win that ball on a turnover. That was a little bit slow for me. Liverpool dictating the tempo.
Forward to Diaz. Diaz then squares it. Might come to Jota. Doesn't get the control he wanted and allows Leno to smother that. That was very, very close to Liverpool going back ahead.
Got to take the shot on the left side. I have no idea why he's cutting back across. It was a brilliant move, really well worked. Excellent ball round the corner into Jota's path. He takes it on his left. Take the shot. No need to cut back on the right.
Well, if it ends up being a Chelsea-Liverpool final in the League Cup, that was the final in 2022. And you might remember, Steve, that it went all the way to penalties after finishing goalless. Thomas Tuchel brought on Kepa for the penalty shootout, and then Kepa missed the penalty that meant that Liverpool won it. just the most extraordinary series of circumstances.
I'd be surprised if they met, if it was to be that final, it would be 0-0 again.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Very surprised.
Here it's with Paulinho. Tete is there. Tete finds Muniz, who was just slipping over as he tried to make contact with that. Well, Fulham have the ball where they want it, Steve. Are they going to get one last chance before full time to take this into extra time?
Yeah, I mean, it's good positioning in terms of territory, but it was a couple of wild swings. The shot initially that came in at the end is a complete slice that's gone out for a throw-in, but you can box in over there. You can try and pressurise that first ball in. They've done that, and it's a turnover for a throw-in to Fulham in the Liverpool half.
We're going to find out in a few seconds how much more time there is going to be added on at the end of the 90. Stand up if you still believe, sing the supporters around us. 4 minutes, a minimum of 4 minutes of additional time at the end of the 90. We are into that now.
Yeah, and I can understand Robinson's frustration there, trying to break down the left-hand side and get in behind Bradley, the young Liverpool wing-back at this point. And he uses his body ever so well, the youngster. Gets in the line of Robinson and the ball, and Robinson runs into him, bullies him out the way. Free kick Liverpool, and it's a brilliant time killer.
But the facts and the stats so much in Liverpool's favour, the experience they have in cup competitions, the fact that they just don't lose football matches. Fulham haven't beaten Liverpool here since 2011, and a Clint Dempsey goal.
Yeah,
they knew it was going to be tough, but
everybody knew it was going to be tough, but they've made a fist of it here towards the final moments. The one thing I will say about Liverpool is they create an awful amount of opportunities, but their conversion rate isn't brilliant, but they do know, but they will convert. They'll create 20, convert 2, and generally that's enough.
It seems like Jota, Nunez have started finding their scoring boots. I think the concern was with no Mo Salah. Those goals might dry up somewhat for Liverpool, but it looks like they're going to be missing him longer than the end of the African Cup of Nations anyway. So he's coming back with an injury, Mo Salah.
Yeah, but it's very difficult to tie this Liverpool side down, you know, just because they're missing a player. It's got a wonderful setup in terms of, I said earlier about the rotations and the understanding and the positioning and the timing of that positioning and understanding is very, very good across the board.
First ever League Cup semi-final for Fulham. This will be a great experience for them. Marco Silva spoke about losing to Crawley right at the start of the League Cup journey last season, and he said we use that as motivation this time around. Beating Tottenham, beating Norwich, then Ipswich, then Everton to get to play in this semi-final against Liverpool. 1-1 here, 3-2 though, Liverpool leads with a minute and a half left to play. Fulham able to take a throw-in on the right-hand side. Paulinho, I think, feels that he was fouled, rather optimistically hoping for a free kick in what would have been a good position for Fulham late on here.
In hope rather than, you know, and then the ball forward from Wilson was just popped back in behind the Liverpool defence, but one bounce and out of play, and that allows Kelleher to take another 30 seconds off the clock. We're into the final minute. Is there one more quality long ball that Fulham can retain and get a chance off?
Well, after this, it's about the FA Cup. We are with Tottenham and Chelsea on Friday evening. I will be back here with Fulham, who play Newcastle at 7 o'clock on Saturday. I don't know who's decided where the FA Cup games are played and at what time, and we might need to, fortunately, protected by a pillar there, Steve, as that Liverpool clearance almost found its way into the press box. 30 seconds left of the 4 minutes of added on time. Fulham have to do something now, or they are definitely out of the League Cup. Launched up to Raul Jimenez, he gets his head to it. Now it's with Wilson. Wilson prevented from putting across him from the right-hand side. Maybe might find Reed just behind him. Tete's up there as well.
I think it's an offside.
Oh, I think a flag's gone up.
We've got to, might as well explain that every time it goes in the bottom right-hand corner, everyone stands up in front of us. We can't see anything. The TV pictures are a minute behind.
Yeah.
So we're sorry if we can't get out what we're seeing. It's just because everybody in front of us is standing up.
Well, the 4 minutes have gone and the Liverpool fans to our left-hand side are dancing in celebration. They think that they are through to yet another League Cup final. And Simon Hooper might not be far away from confirming that. He puts his whistle in his mouth and says that that will do. And Fulham might have held Liverpool to a draw here at Craven Cottage this evening. But it seems the damage was done at Anfield as they bought a 2-1 lead here to West London. And it will be a repeat of the 2022 League Cup final on the 25th of February. It's going to be Chelsea versus Liverpool. The League Cup journey over for Fulham at the semi-final stage. It's finished 1-1 here. Liverpool go through 3-2 on aggregates.
BBC Radio London.
The home of London football.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Steve. Straight to Chelsea. How has it finished, Lauren?
Time here, it's Chelsea 2, Real Madrid 1. Chelsea are officially through to the knockout stages in the Women's Champions League. It was goalless before half-time, but Chelsea won a penalty shortly into the second half. Niamh Charles fouled in the box, Gura Wrighton sending the keeper the wrong way. Then Real Madrid scored a shock equaliser 69 minutes in. Substitute Athenia Del Castillo shooting the ball that came from a Hampton save into the back of the net. And less than a minute later, a Real Madrid goalkeeper error led to another Chelsea goal. She dropped the ball into her own net, making it 2-1. So it's ended here with Chelsea in the quarter-finals and top of Group D. Final score from tonight's game in the Women's Champions League is Chelsea 2, Real Madrid 1.
Lauren, thank you. Elsewhere, it's finished 3-2 to Liverpool here. Fulham, brave but not quite enough in the tank, Steve Brown.
No, I mean, statistically quite an even game, but it was a tough one for Fulham because once Liverpool got that 2-goal cushion, they had to push forward, left gaps that could be countered on and looked vulnerable at times. But interestingly, when they got that goal back, or one of the goals back, there was a little panic up there. They just couldn't find a way to get that second, which would have made it very, very interesting indeed. But over the two legs, it's that 3-minute period really up at Anfield that's turned it all round when Fulham had the lead. Bringing on Núñez, bringing on Gakpo has made all the difference. Liverpool, Chelsea.
What can Marco Silva take from this?
That they've actually pushed probably the best side in the country form-wise to the limit there, over two legs. It's one goal in it, and for that last 10 minutes, I won't say Liverpool were hanging on, but they were certainly nervous. I looked at Jurgen Klopp, he's striding up and down, he's talking to his assistants. There was enough in there to make him nervous.
Marco Silva leads a bit of a lap of appreciation as the Hammersmith end and the Johnny Haynes stand salute their heroes. Not quite to be for Fulham tonight, despite an excellent finish from Issa Diop, which gave them a bit of hope. Diop trudges off behind his manager. There's Rodrigo Muniz and Andreas Pereira, who had an excellent game in patches tonight, as well as the rest of the Fulham squad. Taking a look at this weekend, and we've got loads more football to come for you here on the home of London football. Millwall taking on Preston on BBC Radio London on Saturday, and then back here Saturday night. Fulham taking on Newcastle, QPR Huddersfield Sunday, back here again Tuesday for Fulham versus Everton in the Premier League. We've got full match commentary though of Crystal Palace against Sheffield United. Looking ahead to Wednesday, absolute cracker. Spurs versus Brentford, and then Thursday, no, there's no rest of the wicked. West Ham against Bournemouth. Full Premier League commentary on BBC Radio London, DAB Digital Radio. Steve, you're going to be there for that one?
Yep, the West Ham one.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, yeah, I really look forward to any Premier League game that I get put on. Yeah, it's a privilege.
Hey, it's been a privilege working with you tonight.
Always a pleasure, never a chore with you, Aaron.
Love your work. That is Steve Brown. Thank you to Emma Jones, and thank you to everyone back at base. Not quite the night for Fulham. Well, not quite the night that they would have hoped for. It's Liverpool who head to Wembley. They've beaten the Whites by 3-2 on aggregate. Up next here, though, on BBC Radio London, it's Late Night Becky. Good night.